This was a really well done change that they actually very poorly communicated how it was going to be. So we actually got very pleasantly surprised with what they ended up actually doing. They said they slightly increased the movement speed while plating, and the patch comes out. Well, I can now sprint while plating. I can also slide while plating, and it's a lot faster. They drastically improved the plate situation way more than they let on.
Yeah.
But I'm pleasantly surprised by it. I think it's in a perfect spot now. Activision devs do not play their own game.
3,000 devs can't figure out how to add a reconnect feature to a AAA
We're starting.
title, I guess. I don't know.
Because Infinity Ward doesn't tell their consumers
Keep you on your
anything.
toes.
Like
But
the
it'll
stream
take some of the sweats
now.
away from Shoot House.
There's the like button about that. Is there a like button on
Thanks
our
for tweeting,
website?
at least. Thanks for doing more than
Write that
Infinity
down.
Ward has done. They just keep tweeting about the soccer bundles in the store.
Things that are bad. We've got a couple words. Why don't you kick it off, Tanner?
This is going to be a longer section than the first part you guys heard.
Change it, obviously, of course.
Hey.
Big
gulp there, huh, buddy?
A giant gulp of ice cold water. We are live. Welcome, boys and girls, to Dropshot, a Call of Duty podcast, episode number. Is the correct number here, man? 304?
I have no idea.
That's
no
what they're
fucking
saying.
clue.
It's 304, but maybe it's not. You guys can read, hopefully. I don't know if you guys can count that high. Welcome to the show. There's a system for counting.
It's 304.
Actually.
Yep, it's 304.
You don't have to remember all of them. You really only have to remember like 10 numbers. Arguably 11.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I don't know if 0 counts as a number. Did you know that like 0 was like invented way later than 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and shit?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. Turns out the number 0 is really important.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 0.
And then that opened the floodgates for like, no, I think even negative numbers, that concept existed before 0.
0 total brain cells.
You guys should go on Wikipedia. I'm not kidding. If you're bored, because it's super interesting, go on Wikipedia and just read an article on the number 0. It's like really interesting. Anyways, welcome to the show. Today we're not talking about numbers. We are instead talking about Call of Duty Season 2 for Modern Warfare 2, DMZ, and Warzone, and multiplayer, and campaign, and all that shit. Except not really. Spec Ops, the raid. Yeah, mainly we're going to be talking about Spec Ops. Just fucking kidding, obviously. Yeah, so welcome to the show. Today we are talking about Season 2 first impressions. Our first impressions of Season 2. And before we do that, we have a couple of little baby announcements, but if you're a new listener and you're seething about the announcements, you can skip them. There are timestamps. And by the way, to whoever this fucking guy was, let me look this up. This Ryan Johnson on YouTube commented, first time listening.
Thanks, man.
I'm on Spotify 25 minutes in and you're still doing promo. Tighten it up, boys. And I said, oh, okay, that's a fair comment, I guess. I mean, we're not going to do that, but that's a fair like opinion to have. That's fine. And then Tanner asked me, what episode was that? So out of curiosity, I went to the episode. And then I looked at the timestamps. Because I have a brain, unlike Ryan Johnson, it turns out. And guess what? The announcements are over before 15 minutes of the podcast. Because I saw the timestamps. Huh. So I said, that's curious. How were we doing announcements after we were done doing announcements or promo, as it were? So, hey, Ryan, don't lie to me, man. Say they were too long. That's fine. Or if you want to exaggerate, you could do that too. You could say, hey, I've been listening for 8 hours and you're still doing promo. Then I would say, okay, your point is well taken. But if you're gonna exaggerate, don't do it by 9 minutes. Or 10 minutes. That's too little. So I don't think you were exaggerating. I think you were lying.
I have a theory.
Stop lying.
Maybe he was listening on Spotify to some random episode, And since you can't just comment on Spotify, you just went to our YouTube, clicked on the latest video, and posted it there. So maybe it's not even that.
That's a good theory.
Maybe it's not even that video or that episode. Could be it. Or Ryan Johnson 2890 is just an idiot. Thanks though, Ryan. Appreciate the comment. Thanks for the first time listening. Join the Discord,
pretty
buddy.
likely. Yeah, join the Discord. If you listen to this podcast, you're a fucking idiot. So, I think you're right though. Actually, that's a big brain theory. I bet you're right. Actually, he's probably listening to another one. Anyways, so hey, Ryan, you just made the announcements for this longer, you fucking pig. But I'm mostly fucking around. It doesn't matter. I just thought that was funny. But anyways, welcome to the show. And we do have timestamps, by the way. So if you're mad that we do too many announcements, most people like the announcements more than the actual episode. But if you're not one of those people, then use the goddamn timestamps. I put my time in to make them so you can skip. So figure it out. Anyways.
Shout out to Ryan.
On the topic of announcements, we only have a couple today before we get into the episode. Number one, we have YouTube memberships on our YouTube channel. YouTube is exclusively where we live stream the podcast, each and every episode, virtually. And you can find that at thedropshot.com, find a link to the YouTube, or you can just look up the Dropshot podcast on YouTube or on Google, and then type YouTube, and then you'll find it. It's very easy to find. We have a startling internet presence, so just you'll figure it out. You'll stumble into it, frankly, if you found your way here. Shout out to Google and their algorithms and their spyware. And one of the benefits, in fact, the only benefit right now of YouTube memberships, which we're working on, is that you get to watch our live stream VODs as soon as they're over. So that is the big benefit of membership at this time. Now it's unedited, obviously. Excuse me. It's a VOD after all. So it's not as polished as the episodes I upload the next day. But yeah, that's one of the benefits. And I just realized that automatically there have been ads on those episodes for members who are already paying. So sorry, that was an oversight and a mistake. Yeah, that's a good, So that won't be the case anymore. So if you're a YouTube member and you've been watching our VODs of our live streams and you've been mad that you're getting ads, good for you. You should be getting mad because there shouldn't be ads there. That was just an oversight. That's my mistake.
Surprised none of them said anything.
I am too. So now for you YouTube members, if you want to watch live stream VODs before the public app goes live, when they're over, you can do that and there won't be ads there anymore. I will remedy this. I have to do it manually, which is really annoying every time, but it's in my list of things to do now. So yeah, YouTube VODs won't have ads in them anymore. So sorry about that, members. And you can join the membership if you want those VODs. So anyway, there you go. Other than that, we did our last Patreon episode. It was a Patreon Q&A, and that went live. When did that go? Oh, yesterday. That went live yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And it was fun and exciting. And the patron Q&As, which is available to our platinum and above patrons, only they get to ask questions and only they hear the answers. Only they hear the episodes. We do it every month for our platinum and Damascus patrons. Patreon.com/Dropshot promo. And I have since recently changed my approach to these.
Really?
And I dare say the quality of these episodes has improved dramatically as a result. And the approach is this. I take your questions and instead of answering them, I take that as a very loose suggestion to talk about whatever I want. Because that's going to be more interesting than the answer to, would you eat pancakes with cum or piss on them first? For example, these are the types of questions we get. So it's not. So instead of answering that question now, I just say, oh, okay, that made me think of this random, totally unrelated thing that I'm just going to talk about instead. And I dare say the episodes are a lot better as a result of that. Regardless, that episode is now live, our patron Q&A, and it was both fun and exciting, in my view. Talked a lot about video game simulators. Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, you're a big sim
simulator,
guy. Yeah.
Custodian Simulator. Retail Cashier Simulator.
Barista Simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of figured that out. We did a lot of live lookups into things about the simulators. If you can think of something in the world that exists, there is a simulation game for it. Yeah. I mean, just like honest to God, there's probably like a getting dressed simulator, like putting clothes on or something.
Drinking
outfits.
Water Simulator.
Coming Simulator, yeah. No, it is a good sim. PC building simulator. That's fun for like 3 hours. You work at a little computer shop. People bring in orders. You build PCs because it's all real parts. How
faithful is it?
It's perfect. They're
That's
like
pretty cool. Then
it's like real like EVGA cards and shit. It is pretty cute. It is cool for like learning some things. But like, hey, dipshit, my PC won't turn on. Fix it by this day. That's a fun game. I recommend that one. It's like $20. So don't buy it. Actually, I played it for 3 hours. So. Never mind, I guess I don't recommend it. But anyways, I thought it was fine. The episode was fine. Not as many dog shit questions because we skip most of them now. We decided to skip most of them, yeah. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, so that's live for you Platinum and Damascus patrons. And if you're not one of those and you wanted to ask questions that we will answer much sooner than if you did publicly, or if you wanted to just hear the episodes, patreon.com/Dropshot. Go to Platinum or higher, or Damascus. Go to Damascus. And on the topic of the Patreon, also, we have more episodes to do this month.
Too many to do.
We have 4 more. We have our behind the scenes for our Damascus boys and girls. That'll be coming at a time before February ends, as well as 3 other Call of Duty related bonus episodes for each and every patron, gold patrons and all. And that will be happening before February ends as well. And on the topic of the gold episodes, the 3 COD ones, we've got a dearth of content we could do. There is a lot that we got with Season 2 that was added to the game. And also, a lot of those things actually interest us, which is unusual even for a good season. So if we got like a really good season of like, I don't know, in like last year, that would usually entail really good weapon balance, a great map update on the big map, whatever it may be, and I don't know, a remastered multiplayer map that we actually like really enjoy. That would be an example of like a really good season in the past. But this season is different because there are a lot of like different things we could be talking about. So like that hypothetical season we enjoyed in the past where we really liked it. That's still really only like, okay, well, we could talk about Warzone for our bonus ep because there's a lot of good shit and we actually play Warzone and we're interested in playing it. But that would be kind of it. But now it's like we have ranked play multiplayer that we're really interested in doing an episode on. DMZ.
The seasonal
Warzone,
refresh, yep. So
DMZ. Mazrah.
Yeah.
Ashika Island. Like there's a lot that we could do a bonus ep on this month. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but it's going to entail some of those topics. And if we don't cover all of that, we won't cover all 4 of those things this month, obviously. But if we don't worry, we will cover it next month. We have plenty of time. But the bonus episodes for this month are going to be different, and we don't even know exactly where we're going to go. I'm leaning away from DMZ because I want to give more time to DMZ than by the end of this month.
That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll probably do like a little ranked play kind of overview, just thoughts, talking about it. Maybe Ashika Island, maybe a season 2 second impressions. I think
I'll Mazrah brainstorm because
Another
the changes to
brainstorm
the
would
map
be really
does,
good.
I think, change up the flow and everything.
True.
DMZ, I think will end up being a public episode.
Good idea.
We'll probably do a public DMZ episode in a few weeks.
Yeah,
sometime in March.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of people interested in DMZ, so I think it'd be better to do it that way.
Yeah, and here's what I think we should do, Tanner. I think that's a good idea. Play a lot of DMZ, give our thoughts and impressions on it publicly. And if we're actually enjoying it and playing it more, we could do like a DMZ brainstorm for Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, DMZ I want to give more time to. Things like ranked play, we can sit down, play for a few hours, and mostly figure it out and be like, all right, this is kind of what we're thinking so far. This is how it is. But DMZ, there is like all the different faction missions. You want to play it enough so you have time to progress through those, start hitting harder missions, go to all the exclusion zones or whatever. Are that what they're called? Exclusion zones?
Yes.
Yeah. Go to all the different maps, play those. PvP, do the different contracts, do everything. So that's a lot more involved. So that won't be coming next week, but it's surely coming.
Yeah, surely. So anyway, for you patrons, this is an exciting month. The bonus eps are going to be fire. I'm really excited about it. So, and there are reasons for that because I had fun. We both had a ton of fun yesterday. So if you're listening for the jingle, here it is. Let's get into this.
Trying to catch me off guard after I caught you off guard with the intro, huh? Didn't work. My finger was literally on the button, man.
Fuck you.
Can't get me.
I need to write in fake announcements so that you think I have
more
announcements to do.
That's really smart, actually.
Yeah.
I have cat-like reflexes on that jingle button now.
You have snake-like reflexes. I have cat-like reflexes. Patrons will understand that reference.
Yeah, only patrons know. Only Platinum, Damascus, and
True.
Now.
Yeah. Imagine not being that. Fucking idiots.
You think Ryan Johnson joined Damascus yet? By the time you see this?
No, but I think if he was mad at us, he's on a 30-day clock, and he will be an annual Damascus patron very soon. Yeah. That's the natural progression of our
path. Yep.
Our most ardent supporters. All right, we are live. Welcome to the show. Today, Season 2 Warzone, mostly. First impressions. So yeah, we'll start with a couple disclosures here. We're doing a first impressions episode right now about Season 2. And we will be talking about things we've encountered, played, experienced. So let me start by saying what we have dipped our toes into with Season 2, the new content, and what we haven't. Or I guess what we have. Well, we'll do both. We played a little bit of Ashika Island. We played a little bit of multiplayer. We used the new Hemlock a lot. And we played a lot of Warzone, Mazrah. And I don't think we've used the other two new guns at all. I haven't. The new shotgun and the new SMG, I think it was. Or no, it wasn't even SMG. It was a crossbow, which doesn't count. So there's two new weapons, and we haven't used the shotgun at all. Yeah. But we've used the Hemlock a lot as well. So we'll talk about... So that's going to be the focus of the episode today, mostly. It's going to be principally on Warzone, because that's principally what we've played most so far. So with that said, we've broken this episode into a few categories. Non-Warzone, which is basically just going to be the Hemlock and multiplayer, essentially. And then we're going to talk about a couple issues that are still in the game, Smile. And then a couple general notes about Season 2 as a whole. And then we're going to get specifically into Ashika Island first impressions, and then specifically into Mazrah Season 2 first impressions. That is the roadmap for this.
Dropping a little roadmap, huh?
This afternoon, yeah. We did not draw up a graphic. We don't have an art department. But patreon.com/thedropshot, maybe we can get one. All right, starting off. Non-Warzone. So this is basically like multiplayer. I guess we'll start with the new gun, actually, the Hemlock. There is a new shotgun. Once again, we have not used it. I've not seen it. I don't know if it's like deeper in the tiers or whatever, but I obviously didn't rush a shotgun.
Here's the thing.
it's a semi-auto shotgun, which means it's almost certainly going to be kind of dog shit, even in multiplayer, honestly. Because the only way you balance a semi-auto shotgun is by ruining its range.
Yeah.
So like even by multiplayer standards, if it's good, it won't be very long because they're just the way they balance those, which I think is fair, is they just ruin the range on them. And at that point, I'd rather have a pumper that can actually one tap someone with hip fire in multiplayer from like 15 meters away.
Yep.
So even in multiplayer, I don't think a semi-auto shotgun's ever going to be well, it ought not be relevant. And I don't think it would be, because if it was, it would quickly get nerfed because people complain about that, as they probably should. And for Warzone, that's doubly the case, especially with the TTK in this game. I am not using a semi-auto shotgun in Warzone. There's just no chance with how bad the range is on it, almost certainly. So, haven't used it at all, but I can tell you it's probably just not a relevant gun.
There are people saying that it's a busted shotgun in Warzone, but it's like the people that have 1 million followers on TikTok. They're just trying to make content. I doubt it's actually good. Again, I also haven't used it, haven't unlocked it, don't really care to, because none of the shotguns so far have been good at all. I doubt this. It has like a 25-round mag or something huge on it. That'd be the biggest benefit, but still, it's like if you're going up against anyone competent with an SMG, you're probably losing every gunfight at like 5-6 meters even. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. We'll try it out at some point, but I would imagine it's not going to be good. And those TikToks you're probably seeing of it are more than likely very untrue.
And also, Call of Duty hates shotguns in Warzone. Which pisses me off because as people in chat are referring to Captain Jack, this is my alter ego. My name was Captain Jack, goated with the sauce. That's the PG that's version. The censored version. That's the PG version, yeah. Of course, Captain Jack, goated with the cum. That was my alter ego on Warzone 1 when the Jack 12 was really fucking good. And at there was a golden era of Warzone for keyboard and mouse players who wanted to be able to not die up close. And it was the time between health increasing in Warzone to them nerfing all the shotguns to compensate for that. So basically,
yeah.
Yes. Once upon a time in Caldera, they increased the base health, the flesh health, of players from 100 to 150. And then they forgot they had shotguns in their game. So that made the Jack 12 and a couple other shotguns, but that one was the best in my view, really fucking good because the TTK went up for everything, but you still had a fully automatic shotgun with a fair enough range that was trivially easy to use. You always got your max theoretical damage using a shotgun up close because you never miss bullets because you're using a shotgun. So that for that era, I ceased to be Razinon and I was Captain Jack, Gap because I was gapping kids, and Jack because JAK, spell it correctly. Because I was jacking kids off with the Jack 12. Goated with the cum. That's just for flavor. And in that era, just farming kids up close. There's a clip somewhere in our Discord. There's a couple clips in our Discord of me using this absolute fucking machine, dude. Just gapping kids. Gap, 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 gap. Holy shit. It was really fun. But anyway, they figured out, okay, we need to nerf these also. So then they just nerfed the damage period by 20%. And then the era was over. Captain Jack died. And he did go down with the ship. But he's also immortal. So if shotguns get good again, I will be using them. However, the KV broadside shotgun, probably not going to be one of them. So if that changes, we'll let you know. But also if it becomes really good in Warzone, I think iDub will nerf it.
It'll be nerfed immediately. They'll hot fix it. Yeah. Yep.
The only shotgun that has ever been good in an Infinity Ward BR meta, can anyone guess? Is the R9 Dragon's Breath shotgun.
Yeah.
Which was busted for entirely too long, but that was the only example of a good shotgun in an iDub Warzone.
Yeah,
era.
but Street Sweeper was Cold War.
Street Sweeper
Origin was Cold War.
Raven. The Origin was never good, so.
The Origin was good at one point. In Verdansk, the Origin was one of the meta ones.
Oh, okay. Well, that's Infinity Ward too. Yeah. I don't remember that, though.
So they were good. I think they have kind of learned to stop making shotguns so good.
People just bitch about them too much. Which
since most of the player base is on controller and they don't use shotguns, they die to them, and then they bitch Infinity Ward and they fix it immediately.
It's actually harder to use a shotgun on controller because most controller players who are good use auto tac sprint, and it's very awkward to use a hip fire gun if you're on auto tac.
Well, and you're getting less aim assist when you're not aiming down sight.
That's true.
So that's the other big thing.
That's true. It also just it levels the playing field because aim assist becomes irrelevant anyway. If I'm using a shotgun on K-Bam, I'm like totally fine with that. I don't feel disadvantaged not having aim assist, even if there was good hip fire aim assist most of the time. Anyway, with that said, we haven't used the broadside. So if it becomes good, we'll talk about it. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Other first impressions for multiplayer. The new map. The remastered map. What did we get? We got Valdera's Museum. So we played that in the beta and we talked about it. It's a fine map. It's middling. It's not very good.
That's fine. It's good to have in the rotation, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad it's there. It's more variety and it's not a bad map in the pool, so that's okay. But it's not like a good map. It's not a standout map in my view. It's fine and it's back. So I have nothing else to add on that topic. And then they remastered Dome as well, which is now in the game.
Which is Dome.
So we play Dome and it's yes, exactly. It is Dome. It's the most faithful recreation of a map that I can think Call of Duty's ever done, which is, again, fine. I never loved Dome. I never thought it was a fantastic map. I would much prefer they remaster Firing Range, for example, or Slums, or a litany of other good maps. Dome is just mid. It's a mid map. It's not bad. It's not good, though. It's fine. And they remastered it faithfully, so the remaster is also just fine. I mean, okay. Cool.
It's remastered the same as it was in Vanguard. I think it's actually quite a bit different from the real original one, wasn't it? I never liked Dome much either, but I feel like it's actually quite a bit different than the original. That whole like broken side where you go through all that rubble, I feel like that's all different than the OG map, but I don't remember.
There's no rubble, but that area
was it still like the same layout?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I can remember.
Yeah, Dome was always a way overrated, overhyped map in my opinion. It's like
it's not very
what's
good.
The other one I hate? What's the one they remastered in MDub where you couldn't see corner to corner? Rust. Rust is one of the worst COD maps of all time, and people put that
even
in their
if I
top
could
5.
see, it wouldn't be good. Yeah, I agree.
Miserable. Yeah, Dome is Dome. Museum's fine. It's good to have in the rotation.
Now, on a brighter note with multiplayer, we did our Damascus hangout and we did custom games. The last time we did custom games, we had a ton of issues, and like half of every game was we would just not even be able to connect, and we'd have to reform the lobby even if we could complete a match every single time. Those two issues have been completely fixed. So Tanner created a lobby, a customs lobby. He put the code into chat once, and then we were done forever. That was all that needed to happen, which is exactly how it should work. And whenever we started a game, it worked correctly. The connection was really good, actually. There was no crazy host advantage. And the lobby stayed together every single time, and no one had issues. Except Neb, like once or twice. But since he was the only person having issues, I think it was on his end, actually. I don't think it was the game's fault.
Something was weird at first, too, because it's like there had just been an update that required you to restart, and I had just gotten the update requires restart, and then 3 minutes later there was another one, I guess. But it doesn't tell you when there's an update until you restart your game. People just weren't able to join. So once we figured that out, everyone's like, restart your console, restart your game, BattleNet, whatever.
Your machine, yeah.
It was good for the rest of the night, yeah.
So shockingly, and I can't believe that this is the case, but shockingly, the private matches for multiplayer are better than they've probably ever been in any COD game ever online. Like, actually. They perform amazingly well, especially with how they managed to not have insane host advantage. I don't know how they did that, but they did. Like, Tanner wasn't killing me behind walls ever, even though he was host. And that shit is really obvious in every other COD game for private matches. Like, I guess they don't do peer-to-peer anymore.
It was bad in MW 19, wasn't it? Wasn't that the one that had really... Yeah. Same with like Warzone
really
customs, Rebirth customs. When we used to do those, people would always complain about that. Like, holy shit, this hit reg, the lag is like unbearable.
Yeah, so they really did a great job actually optimizing how private matches work with respect to their performance and the convenience. We had one lobby code for the whole maybe two actually, but that was because of the issues Tanner was talking about. So really good for them on that. And also they added a bunch of party game modes that were quite fun and again worked as expected. And here was another pleasant surprise. Shockingly, there was quite a good amount of customization that was like mode specific that actually worked. So we were playing Infected and Tanner was able to change what loadout the zombies have,
yeah, any
their
setting
movement
you can
speed,
think of, yeah.
Whether they have UAV, what weapon they have, what equipment they have. Same for
how
the
much
survivors.
health you can make a headshots only. You could do it so red dots appear on compass or don't. You can make it so red dots appear on minimap or don't. You can make it so there's
for one
not
team or the other too.
There's not a HUD. There's no minimap. You can change the primaries, the secondaries, the tacticals, the lethals. Like anything you can think of, pretty much you can change. So that was cool to see in Infected too. Especially there were a ton of settings.
Yeah, and there were also like we played gun game. And we were able to cycle through, I think, 4 settings for what types of guns you cycle through. So there was regular ass, there was marksman, there was close quarters, and there was blueprints. So the blueprint one didn't work. It was the same as the regular ass. That didn't work. But the other 3 worked.
Kind of.
Now, yeah, the caveat is, because Activision devs don't play their own game, there was a grenade launcher in the marksman list of gun game weapons, which is insane, obviously. So they weren't great, but at least there's a setting for it. So, in other words, the private matches, by and large, actually afford you all the customization that you would expect and want, and they were really, really, really fucking fun.
Yeah.
So they did a really great job on that. Kudos to iDub on one thing.
Yeah, we did Gun Game, Infected, and Hardpoint, and all of them were really fun. We forgot to try Grind. That was the other new mode, but we know what Grind is. That's always a fun mode.
TDM, yeah.
But yeah, they were working really well. I think you skipped over the Hemlock. Did you even mention that? You started talking about the shotgun, then never actually talked about the Hemlock.
The Hemlock.
The Hemlock is probably the best gun in MW2 multiplayer. From what I used it. So in pubs, I only leveled it up to probably like level 15 or so playing multiplayer. It's shredded. You need an optic on it, and that's it. And it's insane. Use it a ton in customs last night. It's all I was using to kind of get used to it. All of your attachments are unlocked when you go in custom lobbies. So I set up like what I think like a meta attachment would be, like rear grip. I think I had a barrel. I don't remember. Under barrel. Some sort of compensator or something. The thing's insane. It's really good. It feels like even like something really busted like the Vaznev, it like kills faster at SMG range than a Vaznev. It feels like a better TAC 56. Well, it feels like something between a TAC V and a TAC 56. Like the fire rate, I feel like, is between those two. Seems like it's not as fast as a TAC 56, but the fire rate is faster than a TAC V, which is pretty slow shooting. It's very rewarding. It does not move. Sounds cool. Looks cool. Feels good. It's a solid AR. I've been hearing it's good in Warzone. Didn't try it in there. I'm not going to until I get it Orion, because that would be embarrassing to use a non-Orion gun in Warzone. So I won't be doing that until I finish the camo challenges, so I got to do that. But the gun... is excellent in multiplayer. Really, really good. Too good, actually. So use it, abuse it before they maybe nerf it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's really fun. I felt like shit yesterday. I was super tired yesterday, and I was on the toy, so I was just getting farmed. But the Hemlock felt good. I mean, when I was getting some help from the machine, it was killing fast. Yeah. It's hard for me to gauge without actually using it on KBAM, though. I did try it on Ashika Island, but it was level 1. So it was terrible, but that was because it had no velocity because it had no attachments. But I trust Tanner's instincts on this. The Hemlock's probably really good. Yeah. And yeah, but the only issue I had with it, because I did use it with all the attachments and customs since I can, is that it feels very nondescript. Like even if it is really good, it lacks character. In my opinion. I don't know. It just feels like a gun that shoots full auto. But if I did have to characterize it, I would say, at least without a barrel, it's almost like an M13 with its hand. Like, it has really good handling without a barrel on it. Like, really good. And not very much recoil, even if you build it for like fast ADS or whatever. So it feels, you know what?
It's like a slower shooting M13 too. You could consider it that way because it has the same recoil pattern as an M13, which is 0, none, not much at all.
So yeah, I would recommend you guys level it up for sure, for multiplayer or for Warzone. I would imagine because this would probably be this or an M13 since that got buffed. I'd have to them both more to have a verdict on this, but one of those two would probably be my primary for like Ashika Island gaming.
Yeah, if they ever decide to nerf guns and do any sort of weapon balancing, that would make sense.
Well, an ADS is a fuck ton faster than an RPK, so that it might even be better in certain scenarios, you know?
Up close, probably. Yeah, that's about it.
Anyway. But on multiplayer, other than that, I have nothing to add.
Yep.
All right.
Haven't played ranked play. Looks promising.
Yeah. Haven't played ranked play yet, but that looks promising. So, and we will be soon. Moving on, next section here, Tanner has titled, why are we still dealing with these types of issues?
Yeah, so, they put an update out, they fixed issues, and some of this is just like why it's annoying that we're still dealing with these things. We want to talk about some of those. Like issues, again, typical Warzone fashion we've had since launch, and we're still dealing with. To start with, they've fixed this 5 times, supposedly. Half the time I run over ammo or plates, not literally half the time. It's not that common now. They just don't get auto-picked up. They just don't. It doesn't pick them up. Even when I don't have any ammo in my backpack and my AR is not full, I run over, it does not pick it up. You still have to look at the ground and pick it up. That's annoying. Same thing goes for plates. I have no plates on my character. I'm plateless. I run over them sometimes, still not picking them up. So it's gotten better than it was since launch, but it's just frustrating. And it's like, come on, we speed up the game. By most accounts, by doing the vomit looting, I wanted to be able just to run over a body like I did in Warzone. I wanted to pick everything up. So let's get that fixed so I can actually just run over a body and not have to worry about staring at the ground trying to loot items,
Yeah, I did not have this issue much, but it did happen occasionally. Another thing that pisses me off is if you're looting like a gas station, there are a bunch of plates on the shelves. And if I run near a shelf, it needs to definitely automatically pick up the cash if I run near the shelf. Within actually 2 meters, I should just auto pick it up. Within 1 meter, sure. I should automatically pick up the cash and the plates. It's annoying. But when they're on the ground, I was usually auto picking up ammo and plates. Not always, though. So they do need to polish that up a little bit more. It's way better than it was before Season 2. But it still needs a little bit of polish, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on here with the icons, we've been dealing with issues with the icons on the UI since the game launched. They've been really bad. We still don't know what is a feature, what is a bug, like the strongholds, they're still disappearing and stuff. I guess that is a feature, I don't know. So there was a fun one on Ashika Island. We hit the loadout. I died at some point. Come back, the loadout's still showing up on the map. I'm like, oh, maybe it lets you hit it again. Because the way they work or something. I don't know. So I land back there. The icon's on the map. I'm staring at where the loadout was. There's an icon like right above it as I'm staring at it that says loadout, but there's no loadout there and it didn't actually let me grab it. So like before all the icons were disappearing, now my loadout icons are just staying on my screen and not going away. So before they would go away immediately, now they're just staying there and there was no loadout there. I'm like, cool. So I landed here away from my teammates, 75 meters away from my teammates, thinking, oh, cool, I'll just get my loadout. I guess it's going to let me hit it again. Nope, smiled. It's not even there. The icon's just still on the map and on my screen. So that's not great. That's annoying. Got me killed immediately when I landed there because there was a fucking team around there. So fun.
This is it. The icons in general make me fucking furious. Because like Tanner said, I don't know what's a bug and what's a feature, like what's intentional.
And I don't think the devs do.
The one that makes me the most mad is the stronghold icons. So strongholds open at a time, and they're all on your map. If you open your map, all 5 strongholds. First of all, they blend in too much. The stronghold icons. Make them stand out more.
Well, I wouldn't say they're fucking huge. I wouldn't say they blend in at all.
They made them smaller. I swear to God, dude.
No.
I swear to God they did. Make them stand out more, highlight them or something. Also, more importantly, you open the map, 5 strongholds show up. You may or may not be able to find them all by using your eyes because they don't stand out enough. But even if you do, they will then turn red if you or another team hits a stronghold. By the way, if it's my team on the stronghold, don't make the stronghold icon red. That's not, make it orange or something.
Yeah, make it green. Because
that's annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know if some other team got here right before me and that's why it's red, or if it's just because of me. That's a dumb feature, so fix that. But also, then it just disappears, the icon, forever. It's gone forever. So why are you adding a feature like strongholds where you can capture the stronghold and get your loadout, or you can go to a stronghold that's already been captured and recapture it for your own loadout? If that's the case, why the fuck is the icon disappearing for all 5 strongholds in literally, I'm not kidding, literally 30 seconds? Strongholds will open. There will be the icons for 5 strongholds on your map for 30 seconds, and you'll never see them again, even though they can all be recaptured at any time.
Yeah.
Why? Why even allow people to recapture them if you're going to remove the fucking icons? So I have to have an eidetic memory now to be able to fucking recapture a stronghold like 5 minutes later? Or I have to constantly have 5 pings on my map, or even 1 if I just wanted to pick 1. This is really stupid, and I don't know if it's intentional or not, because they've never said anything about it. It's like, oh, well, we were going to a stronghold and, like, I don't know, Jake crashed the chopper and we all died. Well, I would still like to go recapture that stronghold, but oops, I'm not fucking Rain Man, so I don't know where the stronghold is anymore. And I guess I just can't do a stronghold now. Yeah. Because I'm not going to drive around looking for one, obviously. This is terrible. Fix it. Make it better. Yeah. Or say you don't intend on doing that because you're dumb and you don't play your own game. I don't know which one it is, but this has been an issue since day one. And it's really annoying that you're allowed to recapture strongholds, but you'll never know where they are. It really, really bothers me.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because it's such a stupid thing to do. Yeah, it's really...
Think of that, too, from like a casual player perspective. If they're supposed to take a stronghold, like they're not looking at the screen. They don't even know. Some guy just playing the game one night a week is not even going to know when the stronghold's open. So he's going to finally see that on the screen and hear like stronghold's open. He's not paying attention. He's looting. He's going to look at his mini-map 2 minutes later, and there's no icon icons on the screen. So it's like, what is that guy even supposed to do? It is so non-user friendly. It's crazy that's the way it still is. True. Like I kind of understand it, 'cause at the same time, I don't want massive stronghold icons on my mini map the whole time, but it's like, do something, make the icons smaller after 2 minutes or something. Exactly. Do something else so that we know where strongholds still are. 'Cause it's just the best way of knowing if there's a stronghold around you is if your frames suddenly drop by 50, then you know, oh, there must be a bunch of AI nearby. Because the performance on Mazrah kind of feels better with Season 2. Like, it felt smooth, and then you'd go in a stronghold and I'd drop to 100 frames instead of 150 plus. It's like just please remove them, especially now that we can buy loadouts. We get a free loadout drop. Just fucking get rid of the strongholds. Cut your losses. Get rid of your dog shit AI and all the years you wasted on development time of those. Get them out of the fucking game so I have performance on my PC, right? Let's do that.
That's ideal.
Hey, then they don't have to fix the icons on the minimap, because it's been 3 months and they still haven't fixed them. So just remove the strongholds since you can't fix the icons, you know?
That would be ideal for sure. That point about the casual player is so true too. Like, it's literally, I'm not kidding, like 30 seconds and then the icons are gone. They're they're in the game for 30 seconds. They're not there because the strongholds aren't open. They appear, and then they're all taken in 30 seconds, and then they'll never appear again. Yeah, if you're casual,
and who's hitting the strongholds early? The players that are better, that know what they're doing. Exactly. So the players that don't have a clue they're never going to know or remember where a stronghold's at after a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Great game.
So that's insane. It pisses me off a lot, but they've said nothing about it ever, so I don't know if it's even intended or not. So we'll see. I doubt anything changes.
Yeah.
But hopefully it does.
Moving on, a lot of these are just quick ones. Friends list. Why does my friends list still not work? I can't join or invite on my friends half the time.
Yeah,
or join on my friends.
Remove the fucking social tab.
It hasn't worked since MW19. How have we not figured this out at all? Just frustrating. I mean, our very first game on, cool. Can't fucking join on anyone, man. This is awesome. Figure something out, please, for the love of God. So that still doesn't work. The play again button, they added that this season. Great. Didn't work half the time. Raz would press it and it wouldn't do a single goddamn thing.
Didn't work at all.
I mean, we'd wait 30 seconds
tab to get my mouse back.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Real dog shit.
So thanks for adding that feature in, but make it work, because it's a great little QOL feature to have in the game if it works. Yeah,
correct.
Moving on. They fixed the kill streak problem, right? No, they didn't. I found 4 kill streaks on Resurgence in the first 5 minutes or so. The smaller backpack.
Less than that. I think it was like 2 minutes.
That's being gracious. Yeah, 5 minutes on Resurgence. We didn't last that long most of the time.
I think it was literally inside of 120 seconds.
Probably. So, shocking. Just like we said, the smaller backpack is not going to solve the streak spam issue. It will technically, because instead of holding 8 kill streaks, someone will only hold 5. Wow, great difference in a gunfight. Instead of someone calling in 3 streaks on me, they call in 2. Lovely, great change. One of the games of Mazrah, I had 4 streaks towards the end of the game that I just started launching. I'm like, all right, well, I got all these fucking streaks. I may as well start calling them. I was just calling airstrike after airstrike. I called 3 airstrikes on one guy. I would have loved to hear his comms. I called it on him. He ran away. I saw where he was starting to run to. I Kobe'd him, downed him, waited so I could call another one. I saw him crawling away to the right. His teammate was running. I called an airstrike and I got the guy. 3 times. I would have been fucking furious. That guy's controller was across the room 100%. Frustrating, not fun
inside
to have those fights.
Still.
You're outside of your mind if you think the kill streaks are in a fine state in this video game. And that game that I called in like 4 late game, earlier in that game, me personally, I had probably already called in 3 other kill streaks. So it's just, it's crazy. And I purchased 1, maybe 2 of those. I usually check for UAVs if they're there, and then nothing else you have to buy because you still find them everywhere. So it's a joke that they did not do absolutely anything to nerf the spawn rate of kill streaks. All they did was say, oh, let's just make the backpack smaller and remove backpacks from the ground instead of nerfing the loot of kill streaks at all. It's,
Which also, by the way, it's insane. And it also doesn't matter. The small backpack actually doesn't do anything for like quads, for example. Because there were numerous points. I think this happened specifically with me and Jake twice, where Jake said, okay, I found another precision, but I'm holding 4 streaks. Does anyone want this? So I said, okay, sure, because we're in quads. So even having smaller backpacks doesn't help in quads, because we can still carry all the streaks we find. So yeah, it didn't help at all in that case. It helped in solos probably more than like trios and quads, but it's still just, it's absurd. I'm hoping the only silver lining here is that if they wanted to just remove the spawn rate drastically of kill streaks, that would solve the problem of kill streak spam mostly, because the buy station stock on a kill streak is like 1.
Yeah.
So if all they really have to do to just solve the kill streak issue is either only allow people to carry 1, which is ultimately kind of where I'm at, or just drastically, I'm not kidding, reduce the spawn rate by 80%.
Yeah.
Let's start there and see what we're at. That would be fine.
Yeah.
And the silver lining is that would be trivially easy for them to do. They just adjust their spawn
instantly
pool.
They could do it within 5 minutes of right now if they wanted to fix that, but they don't.
They could.
And that's another,
they don't. Yeah.
That's another factor of the game being in such a bad state for these last few months that they've had to fix everything. So things like that get pushed aside and ignored.
Exactly.
Like we talked about. So don't worry, we'll get more into the kill streak when we talk about Al Mazrah. Because I don't know why you would complain about finding kill streaks, Raz. That's weird. So we'll get more into that.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, that's a great reply.
We'll get all into that. Another fun one. They said, this is just like funny. They said in the patch notes, guns were going to be even cheaper to be able to buy. And we were like, they're fucking $2,500. What are they going to start giving them to you for free? Well, they didn't actually change the price. So those patch notes, maybe they had planned on making the guns cheaper in season 2, but instead they pushed it way up. So they kept saying, oh, guns will be even more accessible now. We lowered the price. They didn't. They're still $2,500. So that's fine. That's the way it should be. That's okay. I like that. But they did like talk about that in the patch notes a few times, that they were lowering the price of weapons. So either they intended to and didn't, and they should be like $1,500 or $2,000, or they were just wrong and they already did that patch, because the guns have been $2,500 for what? A month and a half, probably.
At least a month, yeah, long time, yeah. The 2,500. Yeah, I'm with you. The 2,500 price point is, I think, fine, especially with how the economy is now. I think it's in a good spot. I don't think it needs to be changed. They could have maybe said that they're going to make guns even more accessible, and what they meant by that was that you're going to have way more cash because they're increasing the loot pool, and that's what they meant when they said guns were going to be more accessible. That's possible, I guess. This is a very small point, but it's kind of funny that they might have actually said we're lowering the price of primary weapons, and then they just didn't. But that's okay, because they don't need to be changed. I think 2,500 is a good price. I don't think they need to be cheaper or more expensive. I think that's good, especially with how the economy is now. I think it's fine, but it was just funny to point out. And then I also experienced some fun and exciting new bugs. One of which is where you res someone and then you can't move. I had that happen, which was really cool. And we actually could have maybe been okay there if I didn't get that bug, but I did, and then we died eventually. But I threw a smoke grenade, I rezzed Jacob, and Jake went off and did his thing, and then I just couldn't move my character. I couldn't do anything. Can't shoot, can't move, can't even open my main menu. The game didn't freeze, it didn't crash. It was still running fine. I could still spectate once I died because I couldn't move, obviously. But that was a fun and exciting new bug. They're aware of it. I think a lot of people are experiencing this, so it'll probably get fixed pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then a return of a favorite of mine. We've seen this in Warzone 1. We've seen it in Vanguard, and now it's fucking back. The one where I'm on fire and then I'm never not on fire for the rest of the game. So on Ashika Island, me, Jake, and Tanner were playing, and I don't know, someone threw a thermite at me or something. Oh no, it wasn't that. Some fucking dipshit was using incendiary ammo. So he hit me with it in the first minute of the game, I guess. And then fast forward to the cutscene of us getting in the chopper because we won that game, and my character is still on fire. And in that entire time, up to the point where we won, there were just flames all over my screen, and they never went away. I wasn't taking damage, but it was just a really cool feature where my vision was obscured by flames, even though I wasn't taking damage or otherwise affected by them. So that's back, which is really cool, and hopefully they fix that soon. But there are a couple of other new bugs, but those are the ones I personally had the pleasure of experiencing myself. So
yeah.
Anyway,
you could go load into Vanguard right now and probably get the burning bug in the first game. So.
I'm sure I could, yeah, especially with how many incendiary grenades, Molotovs, thermites. There's also incendiary ammo. I mean, there are so many ways to light yourself on fire like a Tibetan monk in that fucking game that I'm sure I could get it.
Over there at Sledgehammer.
Yeah, they sure love their fire, and they love it so much that they'll never let you put it out. So that's in Warzone 2 now also. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, my biggest issue with like bugs is obviously new bugs. I don't really care. I expect new bugs, especially when you're trying to design one game that 5 different generations of console can play on. 4 plus PC, I guess. There's going to be bugs when a new season comes out. I'm okay with that. That's fine. As long as they fix them in a reasonable time frame, which they've been doing with some, but not others.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is with bugs that have been in since day one. Like the icons is the one that makes me the most fucking furious. And by the way, like the loadout icons still don't really work. They'll appear when they all drop out, but then they'll disappear still. They don't like stay there forever. Yeah, they're very buggy and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the things that make me mad, because these are issues that are easy solutions that have been in the game forever and they just don't fix them. So
yeah,
that's what pisses me off. Not really new bugs, but anyway, moving on here to some other / general first impressions. So these aren't necessarily complaints, although some of them will be. And we'll start with a complaint.
Yeah, these are just like not generally related to Ashika or Al Mazrah. So they added in spawn protection, right? They talked about that in the patch notes. That they added. Actually, I want to find what they said about that. Hold on. Let me open up these patch notes and search for spawn protection. Okay, spawn protection. Protects the player when they are between 64 to 19 meters off the ground. And what section is this in? Gameplay adjustments. That's all it's in.
So they intended for it for Al
So
Mazrah
this is intended. Yeah. You are outside of your fucking mind. So anyways, let me see what I wrote here. Spawn protection in Al Mazrah. I mean, that has to be bugged, right? It seems to always be the case, even though I saw some people in the TL, they were saying it only happens when someone has a redeploy on Al Mazrah. That's cap. But maybe that many people are buying redeploy. But I swear to God, like when we were playing, we shot at 20 different guys. Every single time someone was in the air coming back,
doing it.
We stopped shooting at them because they would have spawn protection every single time. You don't even bother shooting at them. So it's like, if this guy's coming back from the gulag with a gun and has spawn protection and can basically land on me and me not be able to do damage until he's 19 meters off the ground, which at that point, he's almost pulling his shoot. He's less than a second away of being on the ground and already shooting at me. That should not be the case at all. So I don't know if that is the way it is. Cannot confirm that, but we'll just say we shot at everyone in the sky we saw, and 100 out of 100 times they had spawn protection. So we stopped trying at that point.
And by the way, the spawn protection is like a 95% less damage received. Like, it's absurd.
It's probably almost nothing received. It probably does nothing to them.
If you want an example of how much protection you get, go to OP Marked on Twitter and look at his recent clips, his like recent media tweets. He tweeted a video of him shooting a guy floating with a sniper in the head like 6 times in a row, and he doesn't even crack the guy's plates.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's crazy good spawn protection. I interrupted you though. What were you saying?
Yeah, see, so someone commented on that, and he said it's only if they have resurgence packs. And I think that's just cap, unless just everyone's buying them, because the redeploy.
And if that's true, that's not even what they do. If that's true, that's not even what they intended to do anyway.
Yeah, they don't. Either way, they don't say what it's for. So I don't. Yeah, this is insane. If there's spawn protection on people coming back from the gulag, but again, I don't. Maybe that many people are buying redeploy packs. They're in a lot of buy stations for like 6,000, and I think when we were seeing them, no, they were limited. They were limited to like 1. So no, that wouldn't be it. There's no way that many people have them. Yeah, so that's obviously there's some sort of issue going on there. Just crazy that, I mean, the fact that you can just float there above someone and them do no damage to you.
Yeah, that's wild.
No, you should be able to you should be getting shot at and have to completely change your trajectory and where you are going to land because you find out someone's there. Not just say, oh, doesn't matter, I'll float right past them and land on a higher elevation than them, right past them on a hill because I have spawn protection, they can't shoot me, right? Horrible fucking change, if that's how it works.
Horrible design. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if spawn protection should be in Mazrah or Ashika Island at all. What I do know is that it should not be in Mazrah, though. There 100%. Should be no spawn protection ever.
Ashika should have something like we've had in the past. It should have spawn protection.
Yeah,
since you just immediately in the sky again.
When they added spawn protection to Rebirth Island, the reason they did that is because people would redeploy and then someone would pull out their MW 2019 car that was trivially easy to one-shot headshot down people with and just immediately toast you. And especially if I'm redeploying with full plates, which is now the case, I can't die to a one-shot headshot anyway. I don't even know if Ashika needs it. Maybe it does. I'm less certain on that point. But Mazrah certainly just remove spawn protection at all ever. It shouldn't be in Mazrah, period. Because yeah, there were multiple times where teams got really good positions on us that they should not have been allowed to get because we are just helplessly watching them float right past us.
Yeah.
To a great position.
Yep.
That they shouldn't be allowed to have.
That we've been on the ground fighting for, killing teams, fighting for better position, and then this dipshit dies on the other side of the map and is able to get in a better position than us because of that. It's a fucking horrible change, and it just goes to show you, if any of them played their game, they would realize what a terrible gameplay decision this is.
I mean, imagine this. You're in Mazrah, you're underneath a cliff, and you're in quads, and you're fighting a team, and they all have redeploy packs. I kill a guy on the cliff. Cool. He immediately respawns, and it's literally immediate. And then he can just land right back on the cliff and pick up his entire loadout and just keep fighting you. So now if I want to take the cliff, I have to kill 4 people 2 times to have a chance because of the spawn protection. Insanely bad design. Yep. Insanely bad design. It Ted obviously shouldn't work this way.
Timmy Timmons, the Resurgence gamer, thought of that change.
Yeah, so there needs to be no spawn protection on Mazrah. It's not necessary.
Shouldn't have it at all. In the redeploy packs, nothing. There should be 0 spawn protection ever.
Correct.
On all Mazrah.
So, anyways, hopefully they remove that. On Ashika, maybe not. I don't really know. I'd have to play. I'm not a Resurgence main, so I can't say. But with the changes to one-shot headshot snipers, I feel like spawn protection's a lot less necessary even on that map. But maybe it is. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Next general point. I'm tired of the counter UAVs already. Just take them out. I don't like them.
Yeah, I
don't think they add anything to the game. They're just annoying. I don't know.
Yeah. It's yeah. I wasn't too worried about them until I saw them on Ashika Island. And since it's one of those things like we talked about with the streaks, since the streak spawns are so common, you see them all the time on Ashika. And it's not like the range is big. It's just like annoying late game having great positioning. And then someone like pops a counter UAV that they're inside the building on you. It's just like, well, you know, I don't know. Streaks don't belong in the game. So get them out. It's annoying. Unnecessary.
The problem too with counter UAVs is like, even precision airstrikes, you can make an argument that there is a skill gap to using them, because if they were limited, then you would have to like be tactical about when it's worth using it, and you'd also have to like aim it correctly to like get a down. So like, for example, in Warzone 1, in the golden era of Warzone, you would like want to hold your precision until you get a down on someone on a rooftop or behind a rock where you can't thirst them. That is when you use your precision. And if you're like a good player, then you will know to not waste your precision until such a time. And also you could only hold one anyway. And then that introduced some sort of skill gap or whatever. But a counter UAV, there really isn't one. I mean, you just pop it whenever, and that's kind of it. Like
it's just an annoying
there's no strategy
feature
that goes into calling it, and then you like may or may not hamper other people by like happenstance. Now, obviously you could be holding a counter UAV and you're in a building or whatever, and you wait until you see someone run in under you and then you call it. Like, sure, there's some skill gap arguments you could maybe make there, but still not enough to warrant them existing, especially on Ashika Island. It's just like that other, was it a field upgrade that was on Rebirth where you put it down and it scrambled the radar in a radius? They put that in to the game, and on Caldera it was kind of fine. But on Rebirth, it ruined the game because no one had their minimap and they had to change it.
It took like half of the map up, and then they had to fix it and make it, so it was a lot smaller. Yeah.
Counter UAVs feeling real similar on Ashika Island. Not as bad as that, but there's a lot of scrambling and it's dumb.
That's the most annoying part, is the scrambling for sure. Yep. So yeah, just kind of an unnecessary thing to have in the game, in my opinion.
It just doesn't add anything. It doesn't add enough to the game to warrant them existing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So anyway. Next point here, general first impression. The economy is in a good spot. With the adjustments to how much cash is on the map in Warzone anyway, in Mazrah, and how much loadouts cost, because of the reduction in loadout cost and the increase in cash around the map, loadouts are appropriately priced. So you can't just trivially easily buy a loadout in 10 seconds like you could often on Verdansk, or even more so Caldera in certain eras. But it's also not like impossible to buy a loadout like, before season 2, really, in quads. It's now like you have to do some looting, but if you do, and you take maybe a minute and a half, and you're trying to, you can buy a loadout. And that's good. That's appropriate. And then you'll probably still have some leftover money to buy some primary guns for everyone for like a secondary, or, a kill streak or a self-res, whatever. I think the economy by and large is in a good spot. Now, again, after that, you have no use for your money ever again. So then we're still ending every game with like $50,000 per person, actually, in Al Mazrah, which also just feels kind of silly, but that's fine. And up until that point, I think the economy is in a way better spot on Al Mazrah, which is good.
Yeah, it was funny that one game we were just all like, me and Pop just dropped our big money bags right there, and they were so big.
We just left. Yeah.
Well, I ended up picking all of it up because I was like, we already hit the buy station. There's nothing to buy. We bought the one UAV there, and I bought the one redeploy pack. Yep. And then you guys just all dropped your money on the ground, and I picked it up, and it was $54,000. And Jake also still had more money. And that was, we were holding numerous streaks. We had our loadouts. What else are you going to buy with the money? So for the people that thought there wasn't enough money on the map, you're dog shit. Learn to move your character and loot at all, I guess. I don't know. That was never an issue. So now there's just more than enough money, and they made loadouts cheaper, which ultimately I'm happy with because I get my loadout quicker. But it's just, you end the game with all this cash, and it's like meaningless.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a whole other can of worms, which we've talked about a little bit, and we'll talk about it more, but not right now. So moving on to weapon balance.
Yeah, what weapon balance? It seems so apparent to me that the RPK would be nerfed just into the ground. Like basically it would be like the gun wasn't in the game anymore because no one would think about it. And instead they barely touched it. Everyone's still running an RPK. I mean, it's the RAL actually, I actually think got nerfed harder with the slight recoil increase than the RPK nerfs did to that gun. It still shreds. It still has virtually zero recoil, but the RAL, the one that no one was using, got a pretty substantial recoil increase. I'm still going to use it. I was using it yesterday. I got used to it pretty quick. I tried the Seiken as well because a lot of people were saying that. Felt like the recoil was as inconsistent as the RAL, but it kills 210 milliseconds slower at range, so I'm like, why would I use this? So I just went back to the RAL again. But yeah, I mean, no meaningful weapon balance changes at all this season, which is super disappointing. So as you've said, hopefully we get a patch like, it wouldn't even be next week. It would probably be 2 weeks from now, some weapon changes maybe. If not, we're not going to get anything until the mid-season update, which actually, even that will be quick because this season already only has like 53 days left in it. They have had the timer up the whole time unless they delay it again.
Yeah. So I want to start by saying this. Let's think about all the guns that were nerfed. Let me see. Okay. Let's think of all the guns that were nerfed in this weapon balancing update. Or even changed, like touched. I mean, between the LMGs and ARs, they augmented like 5 of them. They changed the semi-auto fire rate on the Lockman 5.56 and the M4, so I'm not counting those. So excluding those, they changed 5 ARs or LMGs in this weapon balance update. Okay. 5. Out of how many guns are there between ARs and LMGs? A fuck ton. One of them was a nerf to the RAL MG, which no one uses in Warzone or multiplayer except for us. So here's the thing. I quite literally think this was only nerfed because some dev cunt or someone who has the ear of a dev listens to this broadcast or has listened to it and decided to nerf the RAL because once we started talking about it, they went and looked at the numbers and said, yeah, this thing is really good. No one's using it, but we're going to preemptively nerf it. Here's the thing about that. Should the RAL have been preemptively nerfed? Yes. Because it's, frankly, was busted before this. It was fucking insane. It was really good. Even though no one was using it, it was really fucking good. And if the RPK had been like really nuked, then everyone would have gone to the RAL. Maybe that's why they changed this. But I'm convinced there's some sleeper cell in our Discord, or at least rather in our listener base. Show yourself, pig. With that said, the weapon balance was pathetic, and there's not really much to add other than what we had talked about last episode. We talked about how there needed to be way more weapon balance before we even played Season 2 when we did our last episode, and having played the game, I mean, no surprise, I feel exactly the same way. I mean, though, there wasn't any weapon balance done. The RPK is the same, the Fennec is the same. It's still everyone using both of those guns. It's boring. It's dog shit. It needs to be shaken up. And it's travesty. I will also add, a lot of people have been trying the Seiken since the RPK got nerfed. Even though most people are actually just still using the RPK. But some people are like, oh, we should try other things. So they tried the Seiken. I tried it as well. It feels really good. It's easier to control than a RAL. The RAL, rather. I don't know how you say it, whatever. And it kills pretty fast, but not as fast as a RAL. But it's also way easier to control than a RAL. So
see, I disagree. I thought it felt the same as the RAL in terms of recoil, honestly. At least the build Jake gave me. Your build had like 5-second ADS time, so maybe that's why. But I used the build Jake was using, and yeah, I did not like it at all. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you're a RAL enjoyer or an RPK enjoyer. Actually, if you're a RAL enjoyer and now it has too much recoil for you, give the Seiken a try. I think it's easier to control, but yeah, could be me. I don't know. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Yeah. Next observation, the new Gulag is really good. One of the best Gulags we've ever had now. Now that it's 1v1, now that there's no jailer, and they augmented it to be 1v1 sized, it's a great fucking Gulag. It's balanced. It's fair. No spawn has a clear advantage over another. That might not be true, but if there is a little rat spot that only one spawn has that the other one doesn't, I don't know what it is, and I've never died to it, so I think it's probably fine. It's a great Gulag, and the way they changed this to be appropriate for 1v1 is exactly what I recommended they do, which is they just cut off the lane that's not ramp side. That's what I said they should do. They did it. And the Gulag is way, way better now that it's 1v1. And the shrinking was that was the perfect way to shrink it as far as I'm concerned, which is exactly what they did. So you guys are welcome. And I expect a consulting fee, and I will be invoicing Activision. But yeah, the Gulag's great. And the new Gulag guns are a lot better now too, by the way.
Yeah, I only went to it twice. And I got the same spawn both times. I don't like how that truck is like on that lane angled though. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but again, I've only seen it twice. I think honestly, there's like kind of too much clutter now in the mid area. It seemed like there's a lot more stuff. Like there's the truck with a box to jump on top of that. It's just, I don't know. It felt kind of weird. I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet.
There's a lot of more cover. They added a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's one of the best Gulags ever. Well, I guess it is, because most of the Gulags have been dog shit, so never mind.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the best Gulag, I think, was the Caldera Shack Gulag with the 2 fucking carts full of coal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best Gulag we've ever had. But besides that, I can't think of a better Gulag than this one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, it's not that's saying a lot more about the other Gulags anyway. Random note I want to add. On Al Mazrah, a lot more people are using smokes than they used to. Everyone was using flashes for a long time, and when we were playing for quite a few hours yesterday, there were a lot of smoke grenade users, enjoyers.
There were a ton.
And I recommend you guys give them a try. I was using flashes, and then I realized, well, wait. The way I play Warzone is I never want to be close enough to someone where I could hit them with a flash grenade. I might as well just double down on not being close to people, because I'm not going to win a gunfight up close. So instead, I'm going to try smoke grenades. And it actually was a great idea. But this was after a couple of games where every single game there were a lot of smoke grenade enjoyers. And I recommend you guys give them a try, especially if you don't like being up close. If you're like pushing every building, then don't, obviously. But smoke grenades are really, really, really good on this map for rotations and for reses. And they actually won us a game. We were playing quads. It was me, Jake Down, Tanner, and Pop. And Jake decided to reload his LMG like a fucking idiot. He had to, though, because he was out of ammo. So he finally found ammo, and then he had to reload his Seiken LMG. And because he's dumb, he forgot to put fast hands on that perk package. He remembered to later, but he didn't have fast hands. So it was a long ass reload. It was very late game. There was 1 or 2 teams left. And he had to stick the reload or die. And we weren't by very much cover. So it was only me and Jake alive once again. So then I'm because I'm a better player. I'm in a good position and I'm like peppering the other team, but I'm in trouble too. We're all running low on ammo and plates. So I was like, okay, circle's moving. And then the circle was moving. So we had to rotate. So I throw a smoke grenade while Jake's reloading right on top of him because he was like, oh, I'm fucked. I'm dead. So I just smoked him. And then I used that to let him get the reload off and to get us both to rotate into the zone where we otherwise are always dead 100% of the time. And we only survive because of the smoke. And then we get over there. Jake dies. I flash and... No, excuse me, sorry. I didn't have flash grenades. I had smokes because I threw the smoke. Then the last guy kills Jake. And then I kill him. And we win the game. Yeah, and we never, ever win that game without smoke grenades.
You ADS for 7 seconds. You finally ADS, and then you kill the guy. Yeah, I was like, holy shit. That's when I was like, dude, that is the slowest ADSing gun I've ever seen.
I didn't have my secondary. I had my pistol. Yeah,
smokes seem like they can be real good, but
so smokes, I recommend you guys use them. And then there was another time when, again, like I was talking about right before I got the res bug, we were right by a cell phone tower. I don't know. And there was a team in front of us and a team behind us. And Jake got downed on the tower. And then I threw a smoke grenade because by this time I was still using smokes. So I threw a smoke grenade and I got the res off. And I never would have gotten that res without smokes. And there were a couple other times when they were pretty good. But also, there were a lot of times when other teams that we were fighting only lived because they had smoke grenades. So I strongly encourage you guys to start using them, especially if you're using flashes and you feel like you're not really throwing them very often, which was the case for me.
See, I use my flash grenades a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I throw them like every fight and get a hit marker that I get.
That's the thing. Yeah. So in my case, because I'm trying to avoid close range fights, I just found myself sitting on flashes and just not using them very often. So then I switched to smoke grenades. But yeah, like Tanner just said, if you're using flashes a lot and you're getting kills with them, I would stay on them. But because they are really, really, really fucking good.
They're too good. They weren't nerfed with this update, by the way.
They weren't nerfed at all, which they need to be desperately. But yeah, if you're like me and you're trying to not be up close to people, you're trying to shoot people from far away, and not have an RNG coin flip gunfight up close where the TTK is 20 milliseconds and it's pure luck based, then yeah, consider using smokes.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Moving on.
To do with season 2, but anyway.
This is a big one, a very big one. You can finally sprint while plating, and I can confirm from trying it, you can also slide while you're plating. And it's like actually perfect. It feels better than it did in Warzone 1. Now that may be because we've been dealing with this hindered movement plating mechanic that we've had since Warzone 2 launched, so I got used to how shitty that felt, and now I think this feels amazing. But the animation putting the plates in is quick. You can sprint, which is supposedly not as fast as a normal sprint, but it feels pretty damn close. You can slide, which isn't as good as it used to be since it takes forever to come out of the sliding animation, but still, you can plate up a couple times, slide around a corner to get into cover. It works great. It makes the game feel smooth as hell. There's a lot of people, including myself, that it feels like the movement speed is just faster, like they buff the overall movement speed. They didn't say anything, but in reality, it's probably just this one change makes the game feel that much better, that we're all just coping that much, and we think that the movement speed got increased. Because pretty much everyone I played with, everyone seems to think the same thing. I've seen a lot of streamers saying that, dude, something about the movement feels just a lot more fluid now, and it could be just this plating change made the game feel that much different. So, wow, who'd have thought such an easy change, an easy fix, makes the game feel this much better. I cannot stress enough how much better overall the feeling of the game is now with this change. So much better. The way you take gunfights, the way you get away from gunfights, in the middle of gunfights, being able to actually move away and plate up and peek again from a different angle, speeds the game up. It's excellent. It's like the perfect median between not having like super sweaty slide canceling, and not being able to move at all when plating up. So it's pretty much perfect. I love it. Game feels great with this change.
I totally agree. And I think the people that are saying you move faster now, I think they're wrong literally. Like, I don't think they changed the base movement speed of anyone. But I think they are inadvertently actually correct, because think about, let's say you play a game of Warzone and you win. How many plates did you insert that game? Probably, 30?
Yeah, I was going to say on Mazrah, I'm thinking at least 20.
So if you're inserting 30 plates, and I can now sprint while plating when I used to not be able to over the course of a game, I actually am moving faster.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting from A to B way faster, because while I'm plating up, I can sprint now. So, like, yeah, in the sense that most people mean it, I don't think they're correct. But you actually are just moving around the map faster now, because now you can continue to sprint while you're plating.
Yeah.
And that does contribute to a way more fluid, engaging, and fun gameplay experience. In addition to everything you said, which is like being able to slide as well, and just for a gunfight itself, being able to plate while sprinting. This was a really well done change that they actually very poorly communicated how it was going to be. So we actually got very pleasantly surprised with what they ended up actually doing. They said they slightly increased the movement speed while plating. That's what they were going to do. And then the patch comes out. Well, I can now sprint while plating. I can also slide while plating. And it's a lot faster. And also, the animation maybe of inserting a plate seems to be a little faster. I don't know if that's true, but they drastically improved the plate situation way more than they let on.
Yeah.
But I'm pleasantly surprised by it. I think it's in a perfect spot now as well.
They
much.
did though in the patch. Remember, so before the patch notes came out, they said it was just slightly increased movement speed, but it wasn't sprint speed. But then when they did the patch notes, they did say that. So what the patch notes ended up saying was the global plating animation was increased by 25%, which that makes a big change. That's how fast the plates go in. So you're putting 3 plates on faster no matter what. The movement speed increased while plating, meaning you walk faster than you did before, or jog, whatever. And then it also said players can now sprint while plating. So they did end up changing that, putting that in there. And then you can bust through doors while plating as well. So yeah, it is really, really good. It's such a small thing that makes the game feel so much better that it desperately needed 3 months ago. Yeah. Like this one change alone would have kept people on the game, because it would have made everything feel faster.
Exactly. And this is an example of something I talk about all the time, which is, it's not that the game is fundamentally broken. That's not why it's bad. It's just poor decision making. And there are decisions that could be made very easily and quickly. Because how long did it take to develop this? 20 minutes?
It was already in the game from the previous one. So yeah, they know how to do it.
So it's like, this is an example of a really easy fix on their end that can dramatically improve the quality of the game, where the like cost benefit ratio is just 10,000x. And in this case, they actually did it. So that's really cool. And I'm just very, very, very happy to see this for sure.
Yeah.
It feels even better than I expected, which is great.
Yeah, and someone in our Discord, I think it was, said you can dolphin dive while plating now.
I never tried that. That's very interesting. I would imagine you can if you can sprint.
Someone said that somewhere, yeah. So that's fun and exciting that you can dolphin dive.
It's a little aggressive.
Fucking dolphin dive while inserting a plate, but I can't slide with my arms fully usable and fire my weapon, right?
Yeah, I can't squeeze my fucking index finger.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday, but I'll throw it in here. You can tune lasers now, and on a lot of the lasers, one of the sides you tune for says hip sliding accuracy. meaning maybe they're adding that into the game. So either that's worded incorrectly and it just means hip something accuracy, hip spread accuracy, or it does mean they're bringing back being able to shoot while sliding, which they should, of course. I should be able to shoot my gun while sliding. I don't have to ADS. Just let me hip fire my gun, even if it's totally not accurate at all.
I agree.
Let me shoot while sliding. So that may mean that's coming. But anyways, we'll probably talk about that on Wednesday.
We'll get into that more. By the way, if they do add hip fire while sliding, it's going to mean very little for Warzone, but it's going to mean a lot for multiplayer.
Big difference for multiplayer.
It'll be a huge improvement to multiplayer.
That would be a change to multiplayer that's almost as big as being able to sprint while plating is for Warzone.
Yeah, it would be on par, I think. Yeah, true.
It feels so
because then I'd actually start sliding my character.
Yeah, you have to unbind slide right now, so...
Yeah.
Moving on, thank you for finally letting me edit my perk packages. Even with the custom perks, I haven't yet noticed entire teams being ghosted. When we were at Sarif Bay yesterday, remember we popped UAV, there were like 4 teams pushing in on us, not a single person was ghosted.
A lot of non-ghost
and that was way
users.
Far enough into the game that most people probably had loadouts by then, I would imagine. So that's nice that not everyone's running Ghost, hopefully. I was using High Alert the entire time. It's great to have. Also need some work. Seems like it'll go off like... If I'm on a small little embankment, if I'm on the backside of a hill and some guy's looking at the hill, it seems like his vision like goes through the dirt at times and sets off my high alert, and my high alert will like flash for a second, and then I turn that direction and I'm like, well, what? There's no one here. I don't see what's going on. So it's either bugged like that and kind of goes through objects at times, or it could just be like the tip of my barrel of my gun is showing, and that's enough to set off high alert or something. Either way, I definitely need some tuning, because there are times where it's just constantly going off and I'm like overwhelmed and I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? How is someone seeing me? I don't think they actually can see me. I think it's just bugged, but that's what I've been using. It's been nice. I've been running that, fast hands, double time, and been messing around with the other perk. I've done bomb squad, strong arm. I don't actually need any of those. None of them are that good, but
yeah,
you know, Hyler's been,
and I miss double time even less now that you can sprint while plating, by the way. It didn't even occur to me that I wasn't using double time, which I wasn't until right now, because you mentioned it. But I don't miss double time.
What were you running then?
I was running... What was I running? I think
Bomb Squad, Strong Arm,
Bomb Squad,
Scavenger.
And I think it was Bomb Squad Battle Hardened, actually.
I would run Tracker on Ashika Island, I think, for sure. That would be one of my 2 for that.
Yeah, we'll get more into what perks are actually good in our brainstorm, patreon.com/thedropshot, which we'll do soon, if not this month. But
hour and a half into the game and you're still doing promo. Hour and a half into the app.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever that guy is. Yeah, we'll get more into like what we would edit it to be. But yeah, let me pick my own perks. I'm glad you can now. I definitely noticed some people ghosted when we were playing Al Mazrah, though.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't like whole teams, though. It was usually like some shitter who died didn't have it, so like it's fine. Yeah. But yeah, not too many people using Ghost, which is good. High Alert on that topic. I was also using that exclusively. It works as intended for sure. And by the way, with how many people are not ghosted, it's actually making me consider Cold-Blooded. I'm going to have to reevaluate that.
That's a good point.
Because it would be really good to have Cold-Blooded with if that many people are using High Alert, which is probably what they're using, if not Ghost. But High Alert was like, it was going off every time I would expect it to, but also it was going off when it shouldn't be. Meaning, I remember very clearly one particular instance. I'm in a shack, and my High Alert goes off to my right, and to my right is a wall.
Yeah.
So there was a guy looking at the building, but he didn't see me unless he's fucking cheating, because I was behind a solid ass wall. So High Alert's working a little too good, because that actually got me a kill once. I got a ping in a building. That guy did not know I was there, and I knew he was there now because I have High Alert, and it shouldn't have gone off, and it did. So if anything, it's working a little too well. Hopefully they can fix that, because that's kind of silly. But overall, it works. I'd rather it work that way than it just inconsistently go off, even in the open, In which case, I would just not use the perk at all because it would be useless if it didn't work 100% of the time as expected. So we'll see what they do with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another change. The vomit looting came back from Warzone 1. So you kill someone, everything drops out of the backpack. There's been some pushback on this. A lot of people didn't want to see this change. I, for one, like this change. People always bring up like, oh, you know, so you like this better, all the loot sitting on top of each other. Listen, that is their issue for not fixing it and having everything drop on other items half the time. That's such a simple thing that they should and can fix, and hopefully will soon. I would rather take this system every single time rather than having to fucking stand there like an asshole, open up a backpack, go through it. It's great, like I said earlier, just killing people, running over their body for ammo and plates if it picks them up, peeking at the ground for a kill streak, grabbing the kill streak, and moving on. Again, that combined with like the plating makes the game feel a lot faster, feels really good, and I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah, this is obviously an improvement as well, I think. Of course. It again speeds up the game tremendously, like Tanner just said. Between the plating movement and the vomit looting where I don't have to stop and sort through a fucking backpack anymore, it's great. If you have issues with the vomit looting, it should only be because you're not auto-picking things up that you should be when you run over them. But that wouldn't be an issue of vomit looting, and that would not mean we should go back to backpack looting. That would mean the vomit looting needs to be better optimized. Duh. So don't conflate those two issues, which someone on the TL was doing that Tanner was telling me about. That person is dumb. The vomit looting is actually better. And if you're mad because it doesn't auto-pick up, so you'd rather just go through a backpack, well, instead, just advocate for the auto pickup to actually fucking work. And then we have the best case scenario, which I think actually they will end up nailing down, because we've seen this issue before where you don't auto pick up things you should. And we've also seen them fix it before, after that.
Yep.
So I'm very confident they'll fix it again and auto pickup will work flawlessly soon.
Yeah.
In which case, the looting just got way better. So yeah, really good.
It's just like, really especially playing like quads and stuff, you kill a team of 4 and you're going through their shit early or before with the backpack system. So I'm like, oh, there's a kill streak in this backpack, or oh, there's this in this backpack. It's like, you don't even have to say anything anymore. You just run over bodies and take the cash, take the plates, take the ammo, look for a streak, and that's it. And then you move on. Just speeds up the game so much. I don't know how people don't like this system better. Yeah.
One thing I will say that they might not do, I should also automatically pick up kill streaks and self-revives if I don't have one equipped. We killed a team and there was like 2 self-reses on the ground. I didn't have any. I didn't have one equipped nor in my backpack, but it didn't auto-pick it up. In what universe do I not want to self-res?
Same thing with a gas mask.
And the gas mask too, honestly. If I don't have one equipped and I run over it, you auto-equip it for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no world where I don't want a gas mask. So, yeah, those things need to be added, which they won't. That'll never happen, but I wish they would. Yeah. So, now we will be getting into Ashika Island specific first impressions and then Al Mazrah specific first impressions. Not as much to say here as our general notes, because there wasn't as much change specifically as there was generally. We still have a couple things to say. So we'll start with Ashika Island, which we did not play much of at all. I think I played like 5 games of it. Tanner and Jake have played maybe 10 at most. So not too much to say here. Also, we are not and have never been Resurgence mains, so this is not as important to us, and we're not as familiar with Resurgence in general, so our ability to evaluate it is a little less than our regular BR ability. So we really haven't played it that much, but with that said, we have a couple of thoughts. First of all, on the topic of the map itself. Way better than I expected. It plays way fucking better than I expected. I was worried about the fog and the lighting. neither of which seemed to be an issue at all. I had no problem seeing people. Again, this is probably mostly because they made the very wise decision at launch to put the stupid red diamonds above everyone's head. So I don't have an issue seeing people. There's not nearly as much fog as the screenshots in their blog post will lead you to believe, which is great. And it also looks to be brighter than the screenshots.
When you're on the ground, it seems brighter generally, yeah.
So the visibility overall is pretty fine, which is what I was most worried about, which is really good. And then the layout of the map, I think, is actually really, really well done and really good. I have to play a lot more if I'm going to be confident in that position. But based on what little I have played of it, the POIs are all interesting, good, and very different. We landed farms once, and it was like, real flat, pretty heads up gunfights. And that was like fun and cool. And then there was another game where we were, I don't know where we were, but we were in Promenade, whatever that POI is called now. And that felt way different. It provided us way better advantages when we were on top of it. It was a totally different experience, but it was on the same map. It didn't seem like an overpowered POI, but it didn't seem underpowered certainly either. Really good, really well designed so far. And I can see people. So I think it's actually fantastic. I would argue it's like a more well-designed Fortune's Keep. And what I mean by that is in Fortune's Keep, unlike Rebirth Island, you'll have a fair amount of long-range gunfights and close-range gunfights. On Ashika Island, as I had suspected, we had a fair amount of close-range gunfights and long-range gunfights. And that's what I prefer in my Resurgence experience over Rebirth, where everything is at 5 meters unless you're on top prison. So I think it's really good. I think it's really well done. I had a lot more fun than I expected to, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to.
Yeah. For me, so the map itself seems really well done, like you were saying. The POIs feel different. They're very interesting. Looks good. Like vastly different from one another. You can tell a difference going from one POI to the next. Whereas, I like Fortune's Keep, but even that kind of just all often would kind of mesh together and kind of feel like you were fighting in the same areas. I don't know. This, from the small sample size we have, though, felt very different going from POI to POI.
Yeah, for
sure. One thing, there needs to be more buy stations. I feel like we struggled ever getting to one. There were way too few on the map, so I just couldn't buy things ever. I wanted to buy guns, I could never get to them, so that was a little rough. The player count for it seems fine, I think. What is it, 52 people? Is that what it was for quads? 52?
52. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about the player count. It seems good.
Yeah, I didn't think about it either, so that means it's fine, I think.
That means it's good, yeah. Exactly.
I like the amount of small little hills and covers. It makes it feeling interesting rotations. Kind of similar to Keep, where the rotations on that map, because of elevation changes and whatnot, and how you can drop down into caves, this or that, get up into buildings, jump off those, get on the roofs. It feels more like BR rotations, whereas Rebirth to me always just felt like you were just running around looking for people to kill and nothing else mattered. Don't get me wrong, Rebirth was fun to play because of that, but this, if you liked Fortune's Keep, I think you're more likely to enjoy Ashika. If you didn't like Fortune's Keep and you've always been a Rebirth or nothing guy or girl, I don't think you're going to like Ashika Island as much, because it gives me a closer vibe to Fortune's Keep for sure.
I completely agree with that. That is worth mentioning. Again, as I suspected, it seems so far that this does not have any relation to Rebirth Island. It does not feel similar to me at all. The pacing is way different. The variety and gunfight ranges is way different. I think if you are a Rebirth Island purist, sorry. But again, you should have expected that. We said so when we were talking about the blog post. I totally agree. As far as I'm concerned, it's confirmed. This is not a Rebirth Island map, which I'm okay with. But I think also there's probably a space for that. And I hope that they do add another small map and have both in the rotation, and the next small map be very similar to Rebirth in the sense that there are fucking buildings everywhere. So a ton of your gunfights are really up close. So it has that Rebirth pacing. I think the game needs that, even though I don't like that type of map as much. I think a lot of players do. I would argue probably the majority of Resurgence players prefer that.
Yeah.
So I think they need to add that at some point. It should have been the first map they added, honestly. But as someone who liked Fortunes better than Rebirth, I'm happy with Ashika Island.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So overall, I think if you like Resurgence, I think generally you will like it. They didn't just like drop the ball completely and it's a terrible map or something. It flows well, plays well. If you like Resurgence and haven't liked Mazrah, you're gonna have a fine time or a good time on this, I think.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Next point here, there are not enough plates on Ashika Island at all.
Find them. They pushed a hotfix yesterday before we started playing, I think, and it was to guarantee a plate upon death. That doesn't matter though, because you don't find any plates anywhere. So that was like the easiest thing, I guess, the quickest hotfix they could have put out. I mean, obviously by next week we need the spawn of plates on the ground to be like actually 50% more. None of us could find it.
For Mazrah also?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I can check real quick. I think it was
that would be good.
Ashika specific. Let me see.
But yeah,
here.
Every single game that every single teammate I have who's ever played Ashika Island never found enough plates. So it's like really bad. Yeah. It's not like one person thought that or just me and Tanner. We all thought that every single game at every single moment. There are not enough plates. Not even close. Especially with how many gunfights you're going to be getting into on a smaller map.
Exactly.
Have there be plates a lot everywhere.
Yeah.
I should have an abundance of plates because having extra plates isn't going to like save me in a gunfight. So just make them more accessible, way more.
Actually, no exaggeration. The first like 2 or 3 minutes, we would find more kill streaks as a team than we would armor plates as a team. That's not an exaggeration. Right, that's how low it is.
That's actually true. Yeah.
That's how low it is for plates, and that's how high it is for streaks.
Yeah, you know what? Great point. Make plates spawn as often as kill streaks, and make kill streaks spawn as often as plates, and you fix that
spot. Map.
Yeah, we're in a great spot. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, they're like guns everywhere too, money everywhere, but then you can't get to the buys because I felt like there were so few and everyone else is fighting around them trying to get to them also.
Yeah, I could use more buys.
I mean, there were one of the games, I think you, me, and Jake, none of us had any plates on us. We were all plateless, running around looking for one plate. Like we had nothing for a little while. So it's not good. Another thing.
I wonder if the buys are static on Ashika.
I don't know. I assumed they were, but I didn't really pay attention. I don't know.
That's another thing I'll mention, by the way, about Mazrah, because they have the static buy stations now. It didn't occur to me. I didn't think about buys at all. That's mostly because there's never anything worth buying. However, when I wanted to buy, there was one around. So I guess once again, if there's something that doesn't occur to me, that means it's probably working well.
Yeah.
I don't work about the inner workings of my car engine until it doesn't work. So that's a good thing. That's a good sign. And I didn't think about buys once on Mazrah, so I think they fixed that. So that's good. But yeah, I don't know if they're static on Ashika Island. And if they aren't, they perhaps should be, and there should be more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I agree.
More of them. But yeah, so basically, I was very excited for Resurgence because Mazrah was kind of just feeling slow and not great at the time. But with like the plating changes and the flow of the game just feeling really good right now with the loadouts and stuff, which we'll get more into when we start talking about Mazrah. It feels so good, and it makes me not care about Resurgence already. And, as you started this section with, we've never been Resurgence mains, and we obviously never will be at this point. It's just there's not enough, like, stakes. It's boring. I get outgunned to every single kid on a controller who has faster reflexes than me. These 18-year-old controller using Adderall snorting demonic kids. It's not fun for me to play against them on K-BAM at 5 meters ever. So that's, I'm sticking to the slow map design for old people, which is us, and so we're going to stick to Mazrah. But yeah, if you like Resurgence, I think you're going to love this map. we'll just never be those people. We'll play it more, of course. We'll talk about it a lot more. But I'm always going to prefer big map BR to this mode, I think.
Totally agree.
But well designed for sure.
My last statement on Ashika is that so far it is way better than I expected. I think it's really well done for what they were going for. Mm-hmm. I just wish they had appeased the Rebirth Island players more. But
they seem happy so far, but we'll see how that goes in a week.
That's good. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't have the best, idea of what like the Rebirth Island mains really like. So I could be wrong thinking this plays or thinking this wouldn't please them. I hope I am, but either way, yeah, I really like it. It exceeded my expectations wildly, and it's really fun. A couple little easy things to make it way better, like plates and buys. But again, they'll fix that pretty soon, like inside of a week probably. So yeah. At least the plates. So that's good, and I'm happy about it. Yeah, Ashika's great.
Yep.
So now we're going to move on to Al Mazrah, which we played a lot more of. Tanner and I played, 3 hours maybe yesterday of Al Mazrah.
Yeah.
Something like that. And we had a lot of fun. So we'll start by saying good update. Mostly for the reasons we've already talked about, but we have a couple of other notes that are specific to the map Al Mazrah with Season 2. First of all, we'll start with the map updates. These are pretty unimpactful, as we suspected. There's the train that is running counter-directional to the existing train we had. I think we landed on that once, and it's a train. I mean, cool. I'm fine. It's fine being in the game. It's probably better that it's there than not, but it's not a huge fucking deal. Didn't change the course of a match very often, at least as far as we could tell. And then there were two other changes to the map, one of which was the downed plane at, what is that? Is that called Satik? It is, right? Where Afghan is?
Yes. Yeah.
So they added that downed plane, which doesn't really matter, but they also opened up, yeah. They opened up right by the downed plane a little throughway underneath like the cliff.
Yeah, on the east side.
Identical to the multiplayer map Afghan, which is cool. It lets you flow underneath the cliff in a direction that you couldn't do before because they like opened that up, which is cool. I like it. I think it's good. Didn't drastically change how that POI plays, but it's better that it's there than not, so that's good. And it did make those gunfights a little more dynamic, because there were times when we were fighting people underneath us where we would have otherwise immediately killed them because they would have had nowhere to go. So that's cool. It made the gunfights a little more dynamic at that POI. But again, it's like one POI change, so it didn't change the course of an entire match very much, unless you were there. But again, I'm glad it's there. It's better to exist than not, that change.
Yeah.
And then the last change is the supposed fucking cave network between Tarak and Rohan Oil. We couldn't find it. We tried 2 separate matches to find it. I even landed on a chopper and did fucking aerial reconnaissance like I'm a park ranger looking for a stranded like 7-year-old in a fucking forest. And I tried for a solid 2 minutes flying between Rohan and Tarak, eyes glued to the ground trying to find an entrance to this supposed fucking cave complex or whatever. Couldn't find it. So I can't tell you what this is about, but because I've never been there. No idea how to get there. Could I have looked it up? Yeah, but didn't want to because we were playing the game. So it's probably fine that it exists. I need to find out how the fuck to get in it, though.
So I'll tell you, I looked it up right now because that's the other thing. I was like, I don't want to look it up. If we come across it, we'll come across it. So they originally, in the blog post before the patch notes, said it was between Rohan Oil and Tarak Village, right? So when they put out the patch notes, all they said was, Underground tunnel in suburbs 14. So you see, the reason why we couldn't find it, Raz, was because we were looking between Rohan Oil and Tarak Village, where in reality,
right.
It is just outside, just north of Hydro. It couldn't be further from between Oil and Tarak Village.
Yeah,
I will send you... I will put this in the notes right now. You can look at this yourself. Look at that image. That circled area is where all 5 entrances to the cave network are. I mean, it's literally on the border of Hydro. And they originally described it as between Rohan and Tarak, which is, 200-300 meters away. That's why we couldn't find it. We were looking where they told us it would be. So there we go. Yeah. Now we know where the entrance is at. If you're wondering, go to Tarak Village, go to Hydro, the furthest north side of it. And it's there in some trees and shit. So basically, when you leave Al Mazrah City on that big road on the south, like the highway, that starts curving around just north of Hydro. All the entrances are right there.
I put the link in chat for you guys to see. So it's not, in fact, between Rohan and Tarak. It's between Rohan and Al Mazrah City. That's where it actually is. But yeah, it's very close to hydroelectric. It's like directly north of it.
So here's the map of it. If you guys are watching, that's the circle. That's where all 5 entrances are. They are right there, supposedly.
Got it. Okay. Well, okay. What about exits?
I think it's just a small cave network. That's what I'm saying. It must be a very small cave network. I just found one blog post from some website and posted it. I don't know how accurate this is. I don't know if there are more entrances, but they list the 5 secret entrances to get into the new tunnel, and that's what it says.
I see. Yeah. So we have not experienced that because we couldn't find it, but now we know. So we'll get back to that.
So next time we'll have to look where they say it's not.
Yeah. So I looked at an Infinity Ward patch notes and thought they were accurate. That's my bad. So sorry. We will explore that and we'll do some spelunking and get back to you guys. But again, I don't even think that once again is going to be very impactful for most games.
Whatsoever. Never, actually. It will never be impactful. But cool, yeah, I guess. If there's good loot down there, fine.
So yeah, overall the map updates are exactly as I suspected they would be. I'm glad they're in the game. It's better they're there than they're not. But are they a huge deal? Are they going to significantly change how it feels or plays? No. But still, cool. Good additions. I'll take it. That's it.
Yeah.
Which is better than a lot of things we've gotten added to maps. So it's fine. Yeah.
Yep. So let's revisit the kill streaks we talked about earlier. So they lowered the spawn rate of kill streaks by 90%. Just kidding. They made it so you can only carry 1 in your backpack. Oh wait, just kidding. They made it so you only have small backpacks, so you can't stack things, right? So you can only carry 5 instead of 8, as I said. So cool. Yeah. Most gunfights, again, still on Al Mazrah, what happens? You see someone, you call an airstrike on them, they start running. You start shooting at them, they get in cover. They peek out of a window, they call an airstrike on you, you run away. You fire a few more bullets, you call an airstrike back on them as they rotate. Back and forth, back and forth. That has always been our experience on Al Mazrah. The streak spam is insane. And as we said on Ashika Island, we didn't play a ton of it, but we found numerous streaks in the first 2 minutes of the game. So I'd imagine it's basically the same there. Especially since there's resurgence crates, so those are constantly respawning. You can hit them again; they contain streaks.
True.
So Raven had tweeted something about investigating something. And I said, "Why don't you investigate why every container I open contains a kill streak? I want to use my gun in the first-person shooter instead of streaks." This is where I'm just always mind blown. Reading what some guys say on Twitter. Let's start with this guy.
Oh God!
Damn, folk really complain about everything. Okay. Number 2 from some guy. I must be following you around because I can't find shit. Keep in mind, that comment had 20 more likes than my comment. That's meaning people aren't finding kill streaks. Another insane. Some guy. You're complaining about getting kill streaks? I mean, where do we start? I don't believe so often that I play the same game as other people. We have to be playing other games. This guy has to be talking about PUBG or something, right? There's no way. Everyone I've ever played with, my experience from day 1 of Al Mazrah has been fucking streak spam always, all the time. You'll see Breadman posting a clip of this is how you win a Warzone 2 game. He'll have 5 streaks in his backpack and a couple self-revives. And it's just him constantly calling in streaks. How are we playing the same game? Truly, it blows my mind. Like, are Raz and I just crazy? I mean, in that game of Ashika, by the way, I'm pretty sure it was.
I guess we just get
I know
lucky
mine.
every
It was my
game.
literal first chest I opened contained a counter UAV. And I want to say yours must have been your first or second chest you opened had your streak in it as well.
Yes, correct.
I mean, it was within 20 seconds of hitting the ground.
Yeah.
We both already had streaks because we pointed that out. That was Raz's first time playing the map, by the way. So his first or second chest he opened got a streak out of it.
Sure did.
So it's like, how are these people just not looting? Are they not moving their characters? I mean, you're not going to get streaks if you're mounted up in a window in a building not moving. Sure, I agree with that. But it's like, how are you not finding streaks? I genuinely do not understand these comments whatsoever.
I understand one of them. So the guy that said, I must be following you around because I can't find shit. That comment had 46 likes to your 20 or whatever on your reply. The guy's Twitter name is sub1KD.
He does, yeah, that is a sub-1 kill death ratio.
So there's your answer there. Of course, this guy doesn't loot at all. That's why he has a sub-1KD. So if you want to allow him to have a single streak, then you need to put them in every box because he's only going to open 5.
He only opens the box that someone already opened him. He follows the same path. And it's like, damn, all these chests are opened. Yeah, shit.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know what game these guys are playing. That is a great question. And this guy, this fucking dumbass, Joe Thornton, after scoring 4 goals, is his name on Twitter. I don't know who that is.
It's a hockey player.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, he has some TBI then. He commented, "You're complaining about getting kill streaks?" ?
That's the issue with the player base right there.
It just blows my mind that people are that stupid.
I think because I'm getting something that benefits me, why would I complain about it, right? Hey, believe me, buddy, I don't complain when I'm calling in 8 streaks in a row on another team. But the second it happens to me, I'm complaining because I know how it is, and I know they're going to have more streaks. It's a terrible brain dead take, yeah.
How can you not understand that if you're finding a lot of good loot, everyone else is also? Like, how do you not understand the logical next step there? It's so easy to understand.
Yeah.
But this guy not only failed to understand it, he failed and continued to do so while typing that many characters on his phone. I can't believe it. I can't believe people are this dumb.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these people are fucking idiots. And yeah, I agree on the more important point, besides the Twitter dumb fucks, is, way too many kill streaks still on El Mazrah.
I guess we've just been getting lucky the last 3 months. It has to be that.
Yeah, I
just
guess
lucky
so.
every single game we play.
It's insane. And the kill streak notifications is still terrible, by the way.
I had a fun one yesterday, huh? Yeah.
That wasn't fixed for 3 years on Warzone 1. And then it finally was, and I was really happy because then I said, oh, cool, that'll carry over to Warzone 2 because all the problems they ended up ironing out. Obviously, shortly, they're going to add the Warzone 2. They didn't. And in fact, I actually died exclusively and only because I got trolled by Joe Apricot and his UI decisions. When I see a guy on a roof, I'm also on a roof. I'm ADSing and shooting. He calls a precision airstrike directly on his character, his red diamond, and my reticle. Great UI design. And he kills me because I literally can't see him anymore. Awesome. So there are too many streaks and they ruin my UI. Very cool. The problem here, most of the things I've been annoyed about today with season 2 are all things that I think are going to be addressed relatively soon.
Copium.
My issue with the streak spam shit is I am really not sure if they're ever going to change it. I don't see that many people bitching about it on the TL, which they should be, because they are Joe Thornton after scoring 4 goals, and when they loot 8 kill streaks, they don't complain about it because they're dumb.
Yeah.
I hope more people complain about it. I hope it gets enough attention to where it gets addressed. I'm worried it doesn't, because on Caldera, keep in mind, there was streak spam for definitely the last half of that entire game's map's life cycle, if not 70% of it. The vast majority of the Caldera era, there were too many kill streaks all the time. So I don't know if they're opposed to like that being the case. I don't know if we're going to see a reduction in streak spam, but it really, really hinders my enjoyment of Warzone tremendously. Yeah. And you still get sniped by streaks too. So no notification and then you're dead to a precision. Like that's insane also. So I'm worried about this one. Really worried.
I think we need streaks in Warzone. It does create an interesting dynamic, like with the loadout system we have that most other BRs don't. But the spawn rate of them, it needs to be drastically lower than it is right now. Like the buy stations are fine. You can buy like one. So it's like, why are we limiting one UAV to buy station, but then every 3 chests I open, I'm getting a mortar strike or precision airstrike? Like, where's the balance in that? So I like having the streaks. I think there needs to be a good balance so you can make rotations, call in a streak on someone, get a down, call in a streak, finish someone. But, like we talked about, have a special slot in the backpack so I can keep one in that special slot in my backpack and then hold one on my character so I can carry 2. Or just go back to letting me only carry 1. Something like that. I don't know. It's just, I'm going to keep abusing this system. I yesterday was pretty much carrying...
We have no choice.
One stack of plates and like a stack of AR, and then the rest of my backpack would be streaks, because I'm not going to leave a streak ever. If it's a difference between me having extra AR ammo or having a streak, I'm dropping that AR ammo and taking the streak, because with 4 precision airstrikes, I'm going to get at least 1 kill with that, and I'll be able to get ammo from someone. So,
exactly.
It's too easy, too cheesy of plays, way too abusive, no balance there. So, but moving on to some good things, which there are some good things actually. The earlier loadout drop is excellent, although I'm not sure we ever even used the free loadout drop, but I do like that change. Because it kind of creates a gameplay experience where people are moving more, because they're getting their loadout that they're more comfortable with. So those guys getting their free loadout are the ones that would never go for... they would never go for the strongholds ever, so they would have their loadout halfway into the game or they'd be dead at that point. So the fact that those guys are now getting their loadout earlier and are more likely to fight teams and survive gunfights and have longer gunfights versus getting just swarmed and overrun by better players who hit a stronghold, got their loadouts, have their perks, and then they're just fucking their asses of the team that hasn't even bought guns from a buy station, creates better early game, which then is going to translate into a better mid game as well. So it's really good. I think maybe one time I hit a free loadout and it was like after I had died or something. I don't think we ever even hit the first loadout though. We'll end up talking about that more in a Warzone brainstorm. But we after a little while we stopped trying to go for the strongholds and we would just loot and try to get money for loadouts. So
they were not a first resort. Yeah, they were always the last resort. I hit free loadouts. I remember me and Jake landed on one a couple times.
Yeah, you guys die a lot more than me, so that makes sense.
Well, but yeah, they're not like the first choice. But the fact that they're there sooner means if I do get like fucking ripped early, I'll be able to load on one. Yeah, the early loadout's fantastic. Exactly as expected. The thing that sets your game apart is loadouts. So if you make them more accessible, the quality of your game dramatically improves. No surprises there. I agree with you 100%. I think the timing is fine too, by the way, on the first loading.
Yeah, and it is like
it drops
2 minutes after Stronghold, 3 minutes after Stronghold's open.
Yeah, it's after Strongholds, exactly.
Yeah, so we did confirm that for sure, as we thought.
Yeah, I think the second loadout still drops too late. I think
agreed. So it's first and fifth now, right? I think it needs to be like first and fourth.
One circle sooner than the second loadout drops now is when it needs to be, I think. Yeah. Because now it's like, it's so late that it's like never safe. So you might as well not even have it. You're just baiting shitters who got lucky that game into dying. Like you're just ruining their chances because their dicks are going to get too hard. It needs to come a little sooner. But still, overall, I'll take the free first one. Absolutely. It's definitely helping for sure.
Yeah, and along with the loadouts, the cheaper loadouts in all game modes is great as well. With the large amount of cash now you get, it makes a 20,000 loadout in quads really easy to get. I mean, I think every time we tried to loot for a loadout, we were able to get it way before the free one drops. I mean, within a few minutes landing, we would have 20K. And that was just looting any normal areas. I mean, we landed at Cave one time. Before Strongholds open or anything, just loot around for cash, use the buy station there. We had like 25K or something. Got an early loadout, got our guns, got our perks, and we held that area for like the rest of the game because that ended up being like where the zone kept pulling. Like the whole game. We would hold people on the edge. We ended up winning that game. That was the game where
we did.
You died. Jake and I were the last two. Jake got down, and then I killed the last guy. So yeah, we won that game. We had a loadout super early, really fun, nonstop action. Two excellent changes to the game. The cheaper, more accessible loadouts and the earlier free loadouts are really great for the flow of the game.
Totally agree. Yeah. With that said, though, I will quickly say, especially in quads, but probably in every mode, honestly, strongholds are still the ideal way to get a loadout, and the drop strat is still ultimately the most optimal strat for winning a game of Warzone, because now when you do a stronghold, you are guaranteed whatever number of redeploy packs the game mode you're playing is. So if you're playing quads, you're guaranteed 4 redeploy packs if you complete a stronghold every single time. And that is a really, really good reward, and it's a really big difference. You should absolutely still prefer to do a stronghold over looting for cash to get your loadout for that reason.
Those are 6K each at a buy, and they're limited to 1 as well from what we saw, if they're even in a buy. So it's good to get those for free either way. Say.
Yeah, that will win you games you would otherwise not win. All 4 of you having an instant redeploy and spawn protection while you're floating to loadout, or your loot rather that you just died with. Yeah, definitely you still want to get the redeploy packs. So next point here, the redeploy packs. They're dumb, especially with the spawn protection, like I was just saying. That makes them even more of a problem. If someone's in an advantageous position, you kill them, and then they can just float for free onto the loot that they just dropped when you killed them, because they have spawn protection and it's impossible to kill them until they're there.
And they probably have more plates than you.
Yeah, you just gave them 3 plays. Yeah, it's fucking insane. The bigger problem there is the spawn protection existing, but we already talked about that. With that said, I don't like redeploy packs. I hate them. I don't think they should be in Mazrah ever at all in any way. And it makes strongholds really, 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 really strong and really good, unfortunately. And if it weren't for redeploy packs, I would be done doing strongholds forever. I would just loot for money now. That would be my modus operandi going forward. But because you're guaranteed redeploy packs and they're really good, now I have to, once again, if I want to win as many games as possible, I'm forced to shoot fucking AI in the BR. That's dumb. Take the redeploy packs out of the game, in my opinion. Now, luckily, they don't come out of every chest like precision airstrikes do. So that's good. It's not
do they
like
even drop at all in the world?
Packs. I don't think I've seen any.
Do. I think, yeah.
So I think the only way to get them is to buy them at a select number of buys or to do a stronghold.
Yeah.
So luckily, they're not nearly as prevalent as the redeploy tokens on Caldera. Expect that to change, though. They're going to add more, and that's a guarantee. And that's not going to be good for the game. That's going to be bad for the game. And it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. However, if that were the only problem with Warzone 2, I would be totally fine with that. It's not the end of the world, but it's also bad. It's not good. And it'll never change. It's only going to get worse, the redeploy packs on Mazrah, unfortunately. But whatever. Hopefully they fix other things so that I can bear it, basically.
Yeah, they're going to add balloons into Season 3, and then anyone who uses a balloon will have spawn protection, right? That'll be fun and exciting.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Probably, yeah. Ted's been thinking that one late night for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Ted.
But anyways, back to Mazrah. The action was nonstop. As you're saying, I don't like the idea of the redeploy tokens at all. Here's the thing. I got them and I never even used them because we weren't dying. There was one time I died and it was late game and I know I had one and it just didn't get used. So I think they must disappear. You must lose it when the gulag closes, which I'm not really sure how I feel. I guess that's good.
Oh, that's a good question.
I guess that's good because I know I had him because that was a game we hit the stronghold and I hadn't died at that point, and then I got fulled and I'm like, why am I not coming back? And it was very late game and I know the gulag was closed. That may be how it is. Can't confirm. Okay. But anyways, if the lobbies were staying alive and if that was because of the redeploy tokens, I think for now I'll take it because I think we need that now, Mazrah. It's kind of been like a little bit of a snooze fest at times. I'm just worried it's going to end up being taken too far. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to think if we're playing quads and there are 5 strongholds being hit,
it's 20. Yeah,
there's 20 redeploy packs on the map just for that, 16. And then people buying them, 16 others. Yep. Yeah. So yeah,
that's a good point. You're probably right.
But we had some classic Al Mazrah endings. Fantastic nonstop fighting and action. Al Mazrah endings have always been great. There's always a ton of people alive.
They're the best Warzone endings.
They're by far the best Warzone. Better than anything we had in Verdansk. Better than anything on Caldera for sure. Excellent endings. Always really fun fights. But yeah, so I don't know. The entire flow of the game just feels better now and faster. And I think a lot of that, as I was saying, was a loadout change. Players who didn't bother to do a stronghold and they just wouldn't have their loadout or perks for 10 minutes until they would finally get them in the 3rd circle. Or they would just die before that, So it's like those people are going around looting, not trying to fight, or they're just immediately getting shredded and they're back in the lobby queuing for a new game. So I think that's creating more faster-paced, action-filled games. Because these people are getting their guns and perks that they're comfortable with, and then they're more likely to move around the map and fight others because they know what they're using. Just felt really good. The games felt excellent. Smooth, faster pace, good gunfights. It was just a really good experience, honestly.
I totally agree, and I think you're spot on with that analysis. It did seem like we were getting in way more early and mid-game gunfights than normal. And I think for exactly the reason you just said, it's because loadouts are more accessible now and people are willing to fight once they have loadout. So now we're getting early game and mid game engagements where everyone involved has their loadout. And that's exactly what you want in Warzone. So that has been great. It's also made the pacing much more even because before this season, the pacing was early game, you might get into a couple scuffles with ground loot, or you might not. Mid game is slow, extremely slow. You're not seeing anyone. You're not getting in gunfights ever, unless you're just bounty hopping like crazy and in a vehicle. And then end game is insane. Super, super action packed. Now it's more like early game's steady, mid game steady, end game still fucking crazy. And that's great. The pacing has been both evened and improved dramatically.
Yeah.
And that is probably, almost certainly, because of the changes that have made loadouts more accessible, which is exactly what we want to see. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I totally agree. Yeah. Next point here is the time to kill. I think the time to kill in mid to long range gunfights is still pretty much exactly where I would want it. I'm not instantly killing people super far away like in Caldera. That's good. It's also not Apex Legends level time to kill, so that's also good. I think the long and mid range TTK is pretty much exactly where I would want Warzone's TTK to be. However, the TTK up close has not changed. Likewise, with Season 2, it is still instant. It is still quite literally feels like 150 to 200 milliseconds. That's an exaggeration. It feels like the up-close gunfights are very often 300 to 400 milliseconds from start to finish with both people fully plated, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They're still entirely too fast. And more importantly, unfortunately, there's no sign that that's going to change anytime soon. Because they can nerf the Fennec all they want. They can nerf the Vaznev all they want. There's still going to be a litany of other SMGs and akimbo pistols that are going to have the same time to kill. That is going to be slightly worse than a Fennec. So it's not a matter really of weapon balance. It's a matter of fundamental sweeping changes to how the time to kill works which they shouldn't do in terms of like raising health, because then you're ruining your mid and long range TTKs, or just flat like changing all the multipliers for all these guns or something. It would require a lot of work to get the close range TTK to feel good and preserve the mid and long range TTK. That would involve multipliers, which is what we were talking about. We've talked about a while, so I won't get into it now. And unfortunately, I don't see the up close TTK ever being good, ever being not instant. And that's unfortunate, but luckily with the design of the map Mazrah, I can just opt to not take close range gunfights.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is exactly what I do, and that's why I had so much fun.
My theory is of what will happen is they'll do some weapon balancing changes. Not much will change. Guns will still shred up close. All these kids want 50 extra health. I think at some point they're going to add 50 extra health. Then people who play Mazrah are going to complain about the time to kill being too hard at range.
I bet you're right.
And then what's going to happen? Then Raven is going to start. They're going to Caldera Mazrah. They're going to lower the recoil on all of the guns, and then we're going to be right back to Caldera again. I'm dead serious. I bet you by season 4, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have low recoil, low damage, high time to kill gunfights again, where guns just don't move, and the Schlager and VLK will have 25% recoil reduction or something, and that's how they'll compensate for it. And that all stems from people complaining that the time to kill is too fast up close, which I agree with. But the 50 extra health is not going to solve the overall issue, and ultimately the game will suffer from it long term. I think that's what will happen, because we saw that in Caldera. That's exactly what happened. Yep.
I think you're exactly right.
I'm calling that by season 4, that's how the game will be. Low recoil guns again. I think you are
absolutely correct with that prediction.
Which sucks.
I 100% think that's going to happen.
Because what happened with Caldera. The gunfights medium and long range feel great. I actually enjoy having to try to track people with the holo and not using the zoom scope. I like missing shots at range. Those are fun gunfights. But they need to heavily nerf all these guns up close. I mean, the Vector needs actually like a 5 to 7 damage per bullet nerf, and all the other SMGs will too at that point, because then there will be another one that's way too good. But what's the easiest thing for them to do? Oh, let's just add 50 extra health. Okay, we'll do that. Exactly. I guess. And then the game's going to suffer long term because of that.
I think you're exactly right. I think you nailed the entire domino effect that will happen. Yeah.
Probably.
I bet you that's what happens, dude. I bet you that's what happens. And that's going to be really unfortunate.
Yep.
Because, like you said, I really enjoy the long-range gunfights because they do require some skill. Like, I got better long-range gunfights than we've
ever had in Warzone, in my opinion.
Oh, my God. They're so fun. Yeah. They're like... Sorry. They're deeply skillful. I have to try. I have to control recoil. I have to pick what gun I'm using because there's actually recoil. I have to adjust what optic I use because I can't just put a 6X on and forget. I have to choose like where I want to be because maybe I should mount here. Like it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And that's gonna go away because they're gonna add 50 extra health, and then it's gonna be too slow practically to kill people at long range. And then they're gonna remove recoil, and then we're gonna have Warzone 1 again, both Verdansk and Caldera. Neither of those games had very much recoil most of the time. And we will be going back to that, I think.
Yeah. And that's always been one of my favorite things with Mazrah. It was how guns feel at medium to long range. I like the gunfights in this game, and I always have, and I said that really early on, that I enjoy like the hollow sight, 100+ meter gunfights. I like missing shots. Those are fun gunfights. There's nothing fun about Caldera zooming in 6 times, beaming a guy from the eastern side of mines when he's at the western side sitting in a bush. It's not, those gunfights just aren't fun or rewarding. It's boring.
There's no skill gap. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's like a skill gap now. Like there are times where I'm in a heads up gunfight at 50 meters. And I just land more shots on that dude than he lands on me, and I win. That never happens in Caldera because neither of us are going to miss a single bullet. So it's really just going to be about who sees the other person first and who maybe gets a lucky headshot sprinkled in or has like a better gun setup or something. But now there's like an actual skill gap. And likewise, there are times when I'm heads up with somebody and they're fucking good and they just shit on me. Because they're better than I am and they control recoil better and they're landing more shots. And good for them. They deserve it. I deserve to fucking lose if I'm the worst player at the FPS game. That's how it should be, and that's
which you
fine.
are. Almost every lobby, you're the worst one.
Well, that's fake news. But I think you nailed the domino effect. Unfortunately, luckily, that cascade will take a while, so we'll have some fun long range, medium range gunfights for a couple months because change comes slow, especially with Infinity Ward at the helm. So that's good. We can enjoy it while it lasts. It'll last a while, but eventually it'll go away. I think you're right. I think you nailed every single domino effect there. So clip it now. This will happen, but still. Overall, those are our impressions. Overall, season 2 was a significant improvement for the game, and as much as we expected it to be improved, based on what they had been saying, it improved even more because the plating they changed to be even better than they let on until the patch notes came out. Fine, I'll take that. The map changes were good. If they do map changes like they did this season, by the way, every single season, that would be really cool because then over time, Al Mazrah would be way different than it was at launch. And it also doesn't require a ton of development resources to do what they did to the map this season. And therefore they could keep that pace up rather than trying to add whole ass POIs like Factory every season. That's untenable. They won't be able to do it. But if they make map changes like they did this time, that would be great because the map changes were good. They're better that they're there than not. And they don't require a ton of development. So they could actually keep that up. And that would be really cool. We need more weapon balance. And we need kill streaks to stop spawning on the ground. But overall, I am very pleased with season 2. I wish there was more content, more new content, but they had to backtrack and they backtracked well. So I'll take it. And season 3 makes me very excited. Warzone ranked and maybe actually other new content, more so than we got this season. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, Al Mazrah feels excellent. If you've kind of been staying away from Warzone because you haven't liked it, I would give Al Mazrah another shot because it's feeling a lot better now. This is the first time I'd actually it was fun early on for a while, and then it just there wasn't much going on, so it was just boring. But I think I would recommend giving it a shot again now for sure. And if you like Resurgence is back. I'm sure you'll enjoy playing that. But yeah, we all had a great time on Al Mazrah specifically, so I would recommend giving it a shot and, start playing it, start getting used to it since Ranked will be coming sometime in Season 3 as well. You got maybe 90 days or so to prepare before Ranked drops.
Yeah.
So start warming up now.
Yeah, start prepping. So, all right, we're done. Patreon.com/thedropshot, bonus episodes, ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and it's the best way to support the show. Or you can go to our website, thedropshot.com, find a link to the Patreon and everything else there. Twitter, YouTube, all that shit. We have more episodes next week. Stay humble.
Stay humble.